Well. Tottenham Hotspur are Europa League champions. Boy, does that sound nice. And boy, did we need it after that shambolic Premier League season. So we're here to discuss it. We're going to go through everything from the expectations before the final, expectations after the final, and everything in the middle of it. So first up, returning to the show. He's been on a few times now. Everyone's familiar with him. Welcome in, Nigel. How are we doing, Nigel? How are we doing?
Big up, Luke. I am good. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, I'm still in shock, but I'm loving it. All I've done all day since I've been home from work is just watch reruns of Sonny lifting the cup. And yeah, it's been beautiful.
All I've watched is I've just been on Twitter. I've just been looking at videos, just carried on going over the same thing over and over again. Excellent. And welcome then for the first ever time, Dan E. Hotspur Hood. How are we doing, my friend?
I'm all right. Still recovering from the hangover from last night, but slowly getting there. By the time I go to bed, it should be half gone. But yeah, thanks for having us on, mate. Appreciated. Hope you're both good as well.
No, thanks for coming on. Everyone was talking about yesterday in terms of having a few drinks, and I was like, we're either doing it for congratulations or commiserations. Either way, we're having a beer or two. Do you know what I mean? So I don't blame you for that. So we'll just go straight into it. Before we start talking just about the game, first thing I just wanted to discuss was the expectations that everyone had for the game. There was a lot of people that kind of from the very start of the competition we were favourites. Then that seemed to kind of die down towards the end. I think by the start of the game, I think Manchester United were actually the favourites. But Nige, what was your expectations of the game? Was you expecting a good game, a bad game? What was your hope?
I wasn't expecting a great game, to be honest. Knowing obviously we had no creativity, I thought it would be one of those ones where we might stink it out a little bit. But I was confident-ish. It's one of those, isn't it? You're confident before the game, and the closer you get to it, the more and more I was thinking, oh, wow, yeah, I'm not sure. Bruno might turn up. But my only fear was the fact that we beat them 3 times already this season. And I thought not many teams beat United 4 times in a season. So yeah, I was confident, but apprehensive, obviously knowing our final record as well.
Especially not Spurs. It's not a Spurs thing to go and beat someone 4 times on a trot, is it? Not at all. Not at all. I completely understand that. Dan, what was your expectations, mate? Oh, you're on mute.
My bad, sorry. I thought we'd get it. I was saying it was going to be 55-45 in our favour. It was going to be a tight game, rough and ragged. What else could you really expect? And if anything, I'd say for the game, I was more scared of Spurs than I was Man U.
Do you know what? I think that was the same for Man United as well. I think we was looking at the players that could lose us it, and they were doing the same thing. Like spoke to a few of them, they're talking about if Nana has one of them games, or if Højlund has one of them games. It was almost like we both feared we could lose it ourselves instead of going to win it. But typical Spursy tag, I guess.
100%. I mean, after the season, everything, what do you expect?
Yeah, 100 million percent. So did you think we would win it, or was you just?
No. I thought we'd have it 55-45 in our favour. I thought we'd get it. I said the score would be 2-1 Spurs because both teams 9 times out of 10 always concede. The fact that we didn't even concede a goal, how we didn't, I don't know. But either way, we didn't. So that's all that matters. So that's why I went for 2-1.
Yeah, I think 2-1 seemed to kind of be the kind of expected score. I actually done a quick AI review before the game to see what they would pick, and they went 2-1 Spurs, and exactly what you said. It was like neither team are going to be able to keep a clean sheet, so it would probably end up being 2-1. So obviously we kind of all hoped that we would do it, but as Nige said, that was the big sticking point for me. You know that some people will go, but you beat them 3 times this year, so surely you beat them again, and you're like, that's not Spurs, that's not how this works. So that was the actual nigging part of me. I was thinking, oh, maybe not. So obviously let's just go straight onto it. Once we've got that out of the way, thoughts on the actual final. Obviously the build up, there was a lot made of us having no creative outlet whatsoever. Porro probably being the most creative player on the pitch from a Spurs point of view. In terms of the team, guys, what was your expectation around that? I got 10 of the 11 correct. How about you, Dan?
Basically the same. I was expecting Son to start. I was saying maybe we should start him as a number 10, but not a playmaker 10, play him as a shadow striker like Dele Alli used to, sort of thing, behind Solanke, use him as a target man. And then it was for me, who was he going to stick on the left? Was it going to be Richarlison, Odegaard? But then I think Ange got it right in the decision he made with starting Richarlison so he could bring on Son and give Son the extra time if we went into extra time. That's why I think he done it. Good move. Fair play, Ange.
Yeah, Nige, starting 11. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, I was pretty much the same. I thought the midfield three picked itself, and I think I went for Johnson, Solanke, and Son. I think so. Yeah, Richarlison started instead, but yeah, otherwise it was pretty much the team I expected.
Yeah, I fancied Richie. I didn't think Sarr would start. I thought because of the back injury, I didn't think he was gonna. I thought he was gonna go with Odegaard, but he obviously he went in. He wanted to shore it up a little bit with having the three in there, and all of them just worked their absolute socks off. Bader in the chat has already come in before what are we 7 minutes in, and he's already like, we need to get rid of Ange. Brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. He's just won us a first European trophy in 40 years, and we still want him gone. You love to see it. So in terms of the final, where did you guys watch it? I had a very weird experience, that's for sure, but I'll let you guys start. Was you streaming, Dan?
No, I went on Savas before half time and after, and Tottenham away after and that, but sat in here, watched it with my wife, and one of my mates came round as well to watch it, sort of thing. So I just had a drink while watching the game. I could have gone down the pub, but I could have gone up Tottenham. But do you know what? Stuff it. I'm going to sit indoors and have a drink and just watch the game.
The atmosphere of the ground looked pretty good. I'd actually booked to go to the ground. There was a group of us going, and then I had to say I had other plans in the end. But the lot of the images and a lot of the videos I got, it looked like an absolute. Yeah, they were telling people you're not allowed on the pitch. Then that lasted for about 3 seconds after the final whistle. My mates have got a load of little bags where they've got all the grass that they've pulled up and everything else. So Nige, where did you end up watching it?
Sounds like Millwall.
Honestly, it was absolutely great. When he sent it in the group, he went, look what I've just found in my pocket. You completely forgot about it. It was that a bit large last night for sure.
I'm amazed that they didn't retract the pitch and put the plastic pitch or the American football pitch up for it, just in case, because you got to expect that to happen, surely.
Well, when they announced that they was having the screen in there was no screens in the middle of the pitch. So everyone that was going to go to the stadium was only going to be able to see the screens inside the stadium, which is obviously in the corners. It's like you ain't going to be able to see it at all. So there was uproar about it. And then at the same time they actually released the tickets, they also released a statement saying that after having conversations with, I think the trust got involved, and they were basically saying like, you've not got enough screens, you won't be able to do that. They ended up releasing a statement saying the screens will be in. But the whole reason why they didn't was because they didn't want to damage the pitch for Brighton. And everyone was like, well, hang on a minute. Yeah. If we win, no one's going to care. And if we lose, everyone's still going to be so fuming. No one's actually going to care. So what does it matter whether the pitch is damaged? So, but yeah, they pulled it back. So all the screens were on the pitch. And as I say, they were advised that they weren't allowed. But from my understanding, I don't know whether anyone in the chat went, but from my understanding, soon as the final whistle went, they kind of got everyone off the pitch and out. So a lot of the people at the stadium didn't get to see the trophy lift, which is a bit disappointing. But again, I think it was because the whole idea was that no one was supposed to be on the pitch. So they got everyone off the pitch, and then they was like, right, let's get everyone out. So, but yeah, Nige, where was you watching it?
Yeah, I was boring. I watched it at home. I got home from work, had a nice hot bath, got a takeaway in. Every intention of having a couple of beers, but by the time I'd had my takeaway and the game started, I was just too nervous to drink. So I just had a glass of water and watched the football, and so I stayed in.
Couldn't work out my emotions yesterday. I couldn't work out if I was excited, happy, sad. I just couldn't work it out. So, third guest has arrived in the building, Mr. Brian Daigle. How are we doing, sir?
First of all, apologies, Luke. I've been back from the hospital, and the first thing I did is have a beautiful sleep and slept right through an alarm. So it's obviously done its job. So I do apologise. I've literally just woken up. So apologies. I am great. Thank you. Thanks for having me on, and big up to Nigel and Dan and everyone in the chat.
Yeah, mate.
Thanks for coming on, mate. We're just discussing our location settings for the final. We spoke about the expectations for it. We're only just into that bit. So in terms, we'll quickly run it back. So Brian, what was your expectations in the final? What was your score predictions?
I said 2-1 Tottenham.
Here we go.
Is what I went for. I was extremely worried at times. I started off extremely worried from the moment we got through, and then the closer and closer we got to the final, for some reason I kind of got more and more and more convinced. Names on the cup, year of the bird, blah blah blah. But obviously, did I think it would be a performance like? I was hoping it'd be a performance like it was, more than what the Premier League performances have been. Just absolutely delighted that the lads from top to bottom got it done, and we are here today talking all things glorious as opposed to the other side of the coin.
Yeah, what a horrible show it would have been if that result went the other way. What a horrible show. I think we would have just had a 5 or 10 minute catch up, and then we'd have all popped off, I think. So you kind of gone into it there a little bit. In terms of player performances, I've actually seen some contrasting stuff. There's been some people that I've read online, which I know you probably shouldn't do, but there are quite a few people that have come in for a little bit of criticism in terms of how they played and things like that. Was there anyone that really stood out to you, Nige, or was there something that was unexpected in your point of view from any of the players
in the team?
Yeah, from the players.
Not really, no. I think as in terms of who played well.
Yeah. Or how they played or anything like that. I've seen, like, for instance, I've seen Sarr get a bit of criticism saying that all he done was run around. He didn't really do too much and this, that, and the other. So
that's what Sarr does, and that's what I think. For me, that's why he was in the team, because he's got legs and he can get around the pitch. I thought Basuma was superb. I thought it was one of the best games he's played in a Spurs shirt. I thought Romero was fantastic. It's hard to say anyone was bad. I thought Udogie struggled a bit first half, but I thought he improved second half. Vicario still scares the hell out of me. He made a couple of great saves, but the Van der Ven clearance off the line, if Vicario just catches the ball, then it wouldn't have even been a problem. But apart from that, Solanke may be a little disappointing, but it's hard to say anyone was disappointing when we won a cup. So yeah, I think Basuma for me was a standout player. I think he was fantastic.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Udogie for sure. I think he struggled in the first half, but he definitely got better. Dan, was there anything that stood out for you, or who was your kind of like main man that you think?
Again, I'll go with Nigel on that one. I thought Udogie had a terrible first half. I'm not saying that anyone had a particularly good one. I thought Basuma was good consistently through the game. Again, he's proved a point. Play the player the right way. We have a very good player. Play him as a DM. Play him as a 6 and 8 and a 10 at the same time, and you're not going to see him deliver. Played him how he's meant to be. He's a very good player. I think he was man of the match personally. I think Porro had a good first half. Second half, respectable. Sarr got his job done. Vicario shaky as ever, but when it comes down to that reflex save, he gets it right. One of the best in the Premier League at that one. But as an overall goalkeeper, I think he leaves a lot to be desired. I don't think anyone actually had a particularly good game as such, a good game of football, if that's what you want to call it. I think what we actually had was just a good team that give it their all, if that makes any sense. I don't think either side had a good game of football. It was a hard game on both sides to watch. But if anyone had to stand out as a player, I think Basuma had actually the best game.
Yeah. Brian, are you in agreement there?
Top of the list for me, 100% Basuma. I think he was absolutely sensational last night. Absolutely sensational. But as I said on Dan's stream earlier, after a night like last night, for me, every player out of 10 scored 1,000. Simple as. The objective was to go bring that trophy home. And you keep a clean sheet. Forget the opposition. And yes, man, you were terrible. The mentality of the lads were there, which I've questioned, as of many other people. I think if you look at this, every single test that we've had to deal with over the last 17 years, we've had better players in our past, better squads in our past, and I will say better managers in the past. But none of them have got the ball over, got us over the line. Not one of them. Players, managers, tactics, style of play. They've all come in with this. Oh, it's Spursy. They've all got that tag over the years. They all have that coming in, knowing what the repercussions could be as well, not just from the media and social media, but from sections of our fan base as well. I count myself as one of them. People know I'm very, very outspoken and very, very quick to have my say. And yesterday, I'm sorry, every single player contributed to a fantastic team performance to get the job done. They had one objective. You look at it, and if you look at the Champions League semi-final, Barcelona-Inter, fantastic game of football. Fantastic. Would I rather be Barcelona right now, who played a fantastic game of football and have got fuck all?
Yeah.
Or would I rather play like Tottenham Hotspur yesterday and come back as a European champion? Because I know which one I'm picking every time.
It's also having that flexibility of being able to do both, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, I agree with what Dan's been saying recently, definitely about the whole fan base needing it to be attacking football. I've been saying that's one of my things that I need, but not that I need it every single game in every single moment. Do you know what I mean? Have that flexibility to be able to put I knew that we, obviously, none of us see that. Probably Frankfurt was probably the first real time where I think we see a little bit against Brentford, didn't we? But I didn't think we would be able to do it on that stage. And going back to like the player ratings and things, I completely agree. I think Basuma was very, very good. I think the midfield was underrated. They got through so much work, but it was one of them where I was actually, I actually watched it on the Sun's live stream. We done a watch along, and straight after the game, the host kind of went to me, right, what's your player ratings? And I was like, whoa, I've not even taken this in. Just give me a second. I was like, right, okay. And he was like, right, Vicario, and I went 10, and he went, oh, come on, and I was like, he's a European champion. Every single one of them should be a 10. But it's so difficult to kind of judge, because you're right, there wasn't any like outstanding footballing moments or anything like that. But they were all given a job to do, and they all done it to exactly what was required. Like the defense kept a clean sheet, the midfield worked hard, and the attack scored. That's it. So for me, they was all absolutely brilliant. Let's say Udogie, but straight away before the game, I don't know if you guys agree, but I always said Bruno Fernandes was an obvious choice, but Diallo is dangerous. I think Diallo is a good player. On his day, I think he's difficult, and I think Udogie kind of proved that, but worked his way into it for sure. I think, Brian, you kind of already mentioned it, but one of the key things that came out of the game for me was, does the Spursy tag still stand? Will that now be just completely deleted from the dictionary? What do you think?
Just take out the SPU and put an A there, and you've got the new tag that it should be. RC is what it should be known as now. That whole title has been because we haven't been able to get it over the line, and we have done. We most certainly have done. It goes down now in the folklore, in history. Job done. Job done. That's it. It's got to be dropped. It's got to.
Dan Ange, what do you think? Do you reckon we'll still hear the word Spursy?
Obviously. I mean, for me, that we haven't just earned that over 17 years. We've earned that over being Tottenham Hotspur. That's not just 17 years that word's been there. And it's going to take a long time to lose it. But you got to start somewhere. It'll probably stick with us for the rest of our lives. Every time Tottenham will make a mistake, it will always get related to by other fans as a Spursy moment. It's just one of those things where mud sticks and you don't lose it. But at the end of the day, we just won the trophy, so who cares?
That's it. I kept saying, I've been saying it for the last few weeks now, is there's that Twitter account of days since Spurs last won a trophy. I was like, if nothing else gets deleted, that is all I need, because it drives me mental every single time I see someone repeat it. Madge, what do you reckon? Are we still going to be Spursy when we next go and lose a game?
Sadly, I think we probably are, but I kind of think we might have turned the tables a little bit in the fact that, we played in a final against United. Everyone was expecting us to lose. And maybe that Spursy tag will drop a little bit, but you're already getting fans of opposite teams coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, but it's been watered down this year. It's not the same as it used to be when the Champions League teams got dropped down into it." So there's already rival fans saying, it's not really a big trophy. But I think we're always going to have it. But hopefully that will quieten the fans for a little while.
I completely disagree. The trophy's massive. Say it's not a trophy. That's not a big trophy. It's huge. Absolutely beautiful in the hands of Sonny. Does he deserve it? Everyone, even on the panel, I don't know if you see after the game, but Rio was there, and you could tell he was like biting his tongue. But he was like, Rio was like, yeah, Son deserves this. If anyone deserves it, Son definitely does. Because they asked him the question. I don't know if you heard it, but they asked him the question: is he now a legend? Because I didn't know this, but apparently he'd been saying the whole time whenever he'd been questioned on like the legend status sort of thing, he always said, until I deliver a trophy, I can't be considered a legend. And they asked him on the day, so are you now a legend? And he very reluctantly said, yeah, we say I am, but just for today. Would you now describe him as a legend, Dan?
Yeah, for the club, yeah. I mean, I've had many a debate about Son. For me, never been a world-class player, but he's always been a world-class finisher. Big difference for me. And I've always said, a good player, very good player. For what he's given us for the 9 years, 10 years he's been here and then gone and won that, he's got to go down with the rest of them, hasn't he, as a legend? I mean, whether he should be here or not was something I've debated with a lot of people, but that's a different story. But of course he goes down as a legend. He was the captain.
Get onto that. We will get onto that. So has he risen above Kane in your eyes?
Who are you asking?
Dan.
Oh, okay, go on.
And then I'll refer it back to you two.
If you want to go by success, then yes, he has. It's like if you go and put all the old managers together, is Ange a better manager than Poch? Well, if you go by success, yes, he is. He's the most successful manager we've had in 40, 45 years, sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, he succeeded. He done his job. Son has got a trophy at Spurs, something Kane never managed to do.
Absolutely. It's just absolutely crazy. So, Brian, is Son a legend, and has he leapfrogged Kane?
Yes. We talk about defining players as legends by bringing silverware home. That's basically their profession. That's their role when they get into professional football, is to win the biggest things. Listen, Kane will always be a legend at Spurs. Let's face it, he's broken a goal scoring record at this club that I didn't think I'd see in my lifetime. It's not something you see all the time. So he is a legend for that reason. But no matter what goes on, we may have record goal scorers that break this record. Maybe not in our lifetime again, my nephews, people's grandchildren, children's life, but right here, right now, and for the rest of time, this team, and that goes for all of them that won a trophy, will be etched in Tottenham folklore and will be remembered as the team and the squad that brought a European competition back home for the first time in 41 years, that brought a trophy home for the first time in 17. It's not an easy job to do, and they've gone and done it. So all of them, absolute legends. But Sonny, with what he's done, what he's given, his loyalty, oh, hell yes. Oh, hell. And there's no other way about it. There's no other way to look at it, without a doubt, a Tottenham legend.
I'm actually, the chat are all completely agree, and I was expecting there to be a little bit more on the side of Kane because of what he's achieved. Not that I'm saying I'm disagreeing with you, but I just thought it might have a little bit more of a split, especially the way that some of the fans have kind of gone, I wouldn't say against Sonny, but their feelings towards him now, like especially this season with him kind of going off. Nigel, what's your thoughts? You in agreement?
Yeah, sadly, you know what, Kane for me is fantastic, and he is a legend in his own right. Like Brian said, top goal scorer. But Sonny, he lifted a trophy. You know, you don't. As Spurs, we don't lift a lot of trophies anymore. And when I think back to the past, and I think of the players that lifted trophies, Steve Perryman, Graham Roberts, you know, Sonny is now in that bracket. And I class them as legends. So he has to be a legend. And again, loyalty alone. You know, some people will say if he hadn't won a trophy at Spurs, staying at Spurs this long, he's stupid, he's an idiot. Well, he's proved everyone wrong because he stayed there 10 years and he's got that trophy. He's got that trophy that he wanted. And yeah, for me, that makes him a legend.
I mean, just out of question then, yeah. I mean, we're using the word legend. I mean, thinking about it, is this team actually a team of legends or is it a team of heroes? Bit of a difference for me. I think Son can go down as the hero and also a legend for the fact that he stayed with us for the 10 years. Whereas if he was more interested in his career, he should have left us 4 years ago because he could have practically gone 9 out of 10 places over Europe and really won a few things, same as Kane could have, really. So in that aspect, you've got to give him credit where it's due. And Kane, you can just put down as a legend as well for what he has performed at the club, the amount of goals he scored, best striker we've ever had, most probably. I mean, I know you can debate it with Greaves, but it's a debate you can have. But Son himself, yeah, I think he goes down as a legend at the club, and I think Kane does as well for what he achieved at the club while he was here, as in the amount of goals he scored as a striker.
Yeah,
I think you can be quite even with it.
I've always had this debate about the best and the greatest. They're different for me. So the best is at their absolute pinnacle. There's no one better than them, for instance. But the greatest for me has more of an aura about it. It's like maybe it's a player that's dragged someone like Gerrard, for instance. Gerrard dragging Liverpool to a Champions League final and winning it. He might not be the best that the best that Liverpool have ever had, but in terms of what he done, and that's what I always think. That I think you're right in terms of these are all going to be like in folklore. This is going to be it. People are going to remember this team, but they got over the line, and I think was it us on a stream, Dan, where we said whether this 11 would get into. I think you was on Savage stream, and I put it in the chat as a question. Would any of this 11 get into the starting 11 that was like Poch time? And I think everyone on the panel completely said, no, I don't think anyone gets in. But yet, as Brian just said, these ones have got over the line.
Yeah. Apart from on his day, no one else but Son even touches that team.
Well, yeah,
Son was in the team, wasn't he? And he was better than.
What I mean. So, that's what I'm saying.
That's the thing. That's why I think they're all legends. They literally, we've all said all season, again me included, that this team ain't good enough to do anything. It's subpar. It's not good enough, and all the other kind of terminologies and references it's been used all across the media, social media, YouTubers, people in the chat, whatever, constantly put down. And the mentality to go get it over the line when we've had players with better mentalities. We've had players that have been like standout players. You look at that Poch team, you would say they're about 5, maybe 6 players that you would say in just a heartbeat they could do something and win the game on their own. Bang, done. Like there's 90 minutes on the clock and we needed a moment of genius. You would say that Poch team had players in there that could do that by that moment of brilliance, and couldn't get it over the line. It was in stature of the clubs, not the and the way the teams have been. It was David and Goliath going into this with teams that have won and got things over the line and done it recently. I can't. For me, I look at it, and like I said when we started this conversation, the objective of these players are to go and get. Dele Alli was a hero to begin with his start at Spurs. He's idolised, he's worshipped. Obviously, there have been players down the line within the squads within 17 years and within our history where you go, oh my God, that's a cult hero. That's a hero. He's a genius. He's a this. He's a that. What's he won? What can you show me that goes down in? We all hear the players go. They all want the medals. We've had players leave because they wanted to go on and win things. And we said we've done it again. We've had a team dismantled, or players have left because we haven't been able to reach their expectations. And now we're left with this. And now that lot of people, players, they've got a job done. They've got. So for me, I understand that what Dan's saying with heroes and legends, but for me, they are one. Each and every one of them legends, in my view of how I look at our club. This is a monumental achievement, and for me, that's legendary.
I think one of the guys that a lot of people would say is a bit of a cult hero was Sandro. Sandro seems to be in amongst it on the way there. And what an absolute hero he is, to be fair. So I think I can understand both points of view. I think it's hard, isn't it? Because as soon as someone wins a trophy, because we were without them for so long, if we go on a run, which is not going to happen, but if we go on a run and win 5 or 6 trophies in the next 10 years, are we going to look back on this group and say heroes? But they're the ones that have broke the duck.
If we go forward 20 years, 20 years in the future, and they're having Legends nights, then it'd be the Europa League winners of 2025. The Brennan Johnsons will be sat there, and they'll be classed as legends because of what they've done in one night. Whether they're crap, whether they're good players or bad players, is what they've done for our club in that one night.
Yeah, I think legends is too much of a heavy word. Heroes, I will go with. Legends, no. Son as a player as a whole, yes. But for me, this was a heroes thing, not a legends thing. I think it's a word that's going to get used like where people use world-class too much these days. World-class is too much of an easy phrase used these days for a player. When you can compare back to players 20 years ago that they wouldn't have even laced the boots, let alone be called world-class. I think it's a thin line. I mean, if people want to look on them as a legend, go for goal. That's up to them, each to their own. For me, a legend is more when you have a team that does a treble. That's more of a legendary team sort of thing. This was more of a legendary moment for us. Not football as such, but for us, it was a legendary moment that we actually managed to break it. But I would personally class them as more of a bunch of heroes. But that's just personal opinion.
I suppose it all depends on what you define as, isn't it?
Exactly.
You said earlier about greatest and everything else. I mean, there was a lot of talk about like Berbatov recently about didn't he appear for the Tottenham Legends, and people were saying, well, he kind of betrayed us, went to United, so why would he even be part of a kind of a Legends team? But in some aspects, people look at him and think, well, what a footballer, he was brilliant to have.
Oh, he was brilliant. Excellent.
But would you consider him a legend as a Tottenham legend? And I think, hang on a minute, the terminology in terms of like the legends, I mean, some of them that have been there, we've had like Sebastian Bassong and things like that play for our legends team. So it's very loose, the legends term.
Exactly. It's a very loose term, and it's just use it as you wish. If you want to put him down as legendary strikers we've had at Spurs, of course he goes in there. I mean, personally, I think on the ball, I don't really think of one player that has ever been at Spurs that is able to control a ball from a 90-yard pass like he was. I don't think there's been one. I'm not saying he's been the most skillful player ever, but definitely up there with it. His control of the ball. Name me a player who had better ball control when it came down over a 30, 40-yard pass. I mean, you can say he's a legend of a striker, whatever, to us at Spurs. But again, it's what you said. It's each their own with the way they look on things.
Yeah, no, 100%. But when you look back at the kind of strike forces that we've had over the years, I remember Berbatov, Bent, Keane. Do you know what I mean? And now we've kind of got a Scarlett on the bench and things like that. It's football has just changed so drastically, and we kind of mentioned it a little bit there, but it's just trained so differently. And the world class thing, like, a lot of people say, like, if you can only you're in the top 5 in your position in the world, but then the other part of that is what happens if you just got 6 or 7 real unbelievable strikers that all come around at the same time? Does that mean one of them's got to be edged out? So it is I think football is this all up for debate, isn't it? It's how you see it and kind of everything else. So obviously with the final, I don't want to kind of gloss over it and pass through it really quickly, because I think we should just keep living in that moment. But in terms of what are your afterthoughts after the final, was there anything that changed? I know that I've seen a lot of people think that Basuma has probably coming to the end and that it's time for him to move on. And then I see today some people saying, I think I've got it wrong. I think Basuma should be staying here next year. I know we can't really do it off of one game, because that's just, you can't live off of one game. But towards, let's say, up until like Frankfurt away, is there any things that have kind of changed your opinion where you kind of go, actually, he was someone I would definitely get rid of, whereas now, is it maybe a chance? Is it a redemption day, for instance? Go on, Brian. What's your thoughts?
Well, I spoke about Basuma with Dan earlier on his show, and last night, I think Basuma, and I said it when you're saying who stood out, I thought he was absolutely sensational yesterday. Honestly, absolutely brilliant. And when he does play like that, or we do see what he did in the first 10 games under Ange, he's incredible. He's such a unique player and can do so many things that other players can't do when he's in that zone, that if he could do that more consistently, it's not even a thought of selling him. But obviously the attitude has been questioned, fitness, other things. Now, we're Tottenham Hotspur, I feel, find ourselves in a real sliding doors moment again. Someone put it in the chat in Dan's chat this morning. I can't remember who put it in, Dan. I don't know if you can remember the person. Sam something, wasn't it? I think. I don't think he's here, but it was like...
What about the sliding doors thing?
Yeah. I think it was some guy called Sam or something, yeah. And he looked at it and he was like, well, we were here with the 4-1 with Liverpool. We were there with the Tevez and Cahill moment. Now what do you go and do? Now, I said as of last season, or maybe even the start of Ange, it might have been the start of Ange Postecoglou's reign, I was like, do you know what? I've got so fed up with what we do. I've got no... I can't really do the sentimentality to players anymore. I'm like, if you can get a better upgrade and there's someone out there you can get to improve that first team to go to the next level, then you do it.
That's what you do. Yep.
Then that's what you do. So we've had it. You look at when we got rid of Eriksen and we wouldn't bring in Fernandes, who, by the way, yesterday's a disgrace, but we wouldn't bring him in until we got Eriksen out. And it's like, why are Tottenham always the team that have to get this player out before you bring in the replacement? Surely you'd think you do it the other way. And this is where we're at. Now, for me, this is just for me. If there's an option to upgrade on Basuma, you upgrade. But before his performances at Frankfurt, Bodo, and last night, I would have had him, for me, as one of the first out the door. Cash in, get him out, do whatever you can. But it's the performances like last night that make you remember just how good this guy can be.
He's started doing what we thought we was signing.
Correct.
When we got him, I was going to everyone, there's something not quite right here. For 25 million, whatever he is unbelievable. I remember him absolutely destroying our midfield. I think 2 or 3 seasons on a trot, and I thought there's no way you're picking up this sort of caliber player for 25, 30 million. And then he just is so inconsistent. I know, Dan, you think it's a lot down to the positional sense, don't you?
I'd say 80% of it is. I wouldn't say he's the strongest mentality player. I mean, hanging out your car while you're geared out your head ain't exactly the smartest thing to do these days. But when he was at Brighton, he absolutely destroyed us 2 seasons on the trot. He done Liverpool. He totally covered Arsenal. He done it with Man City. He done it with all the big boys. Liverpool, if I remember right, what was their bid for him? 60 mil, something like that they put in for him, 60, 65, but they wanted more. We got him on the deal as last game as his last year of his contract, basically. And Liverpool had already bought in midfield, and so would others. Yesterday just proved the point that I've been making for, I think Brian can back me on this, nearly 20 months now. Play a player the right way to what he's capable of, you will see a much better player. He is not a defensive midfielder. Where I'd say 80% of his stupid mistakes been in a defensive moment. He is not a defensive player. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we play him, how he's meant to, with an odd moment of defence, but as a box-to-box pushing forward, he looks like a different player. Same as Porro does, same as Bentancur does, same as Sarr does, same as other players when Ange actually plays them to what they're best at being played. And that wasn't his way. And it just proved the point again. You got to play with the cards you got.
Nige, what do you think? What do you think of Basuma? What's your thoughts on him?
With Basuma's a funny one because for me, I think it's all about getting him in the right headspace. Because Ange has come out and said, and I think a few other players, he's not all the ticket, and you see him after the game, he's loopy, but it's not a bad thing. But I just think you need to get him in the right headspace. Yeah, you get him in the right headspace. Basuma's a great player, but I think he's he's all over the place at times. To be honest, my thoughts on next year, where we go, hasn't really changed that much. Football doesn't stand still. So we can't look upon 1 or 2 games and be like, oh, yeah, we'll give them another chance. I think these players out for a reason. And I still think they need to go. We're not 17th for no reason. They haven't been good enough this season. So my thoughts haven't changed. But, they were all fantastic to a man last night.
So the kind of change was really sort of signalled for me with Bergvall being injured. I know that he started playing a bit deeper, Bergvall, and it was kind of 2 in that midfield area, but he had more license. But Bergvall gets injured, Basuma comes in, and then for me it was like, right, there's 2 now in that midfield. Do you think that the Bergvall injury potentially has sort of changed the course of our season? Because if Bergvall was in, there's no doubt, I don't think anyone would have picked Basuma to play because Bergvall's form and the way Basuma had been. So do you think that is a pivotal part? Do you reckon that Ange would have done it anyway? Or do you think that the injury has caused him to go, well, hang on a minute, I'm going to have to do this? No. What do you think?
Ange would have still started Basuma. If he would have played it 2 in midfield, he'd have put Basuma and Bentancur there.
But do you think he would have if Bergvall wasn't injured?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, you think he would have done it anyway?
Yeah, if he'd have gone for the 3 in midfield still, I mean, a lot of it more comes down to who was missing at 10, where we didn't have a 10. That's why we went for the 4-3-3. Otherwise, I have to think he'd have done a 4-2-3-1. So we couldn't go for the playmaking, so we came it back to a 4-3-3. And it would have been a fight out of Bergvall and Sarr. Bentancur and Basuma have already proved earlier on in the season, when they were played again to their abilities in the odd game here and there as a double pivot, that they work very well together. Bergvall next to the pair of them, I don't think would have been a problem, but it would have been out of him and Sarr.
What do you think, Nige? Do you think he would have changed it? Because Bergvall was in some good form. A lot of fans were
possibly. He was playing a lot, wasn't he, Bergvall? But I'm not sure whether Ange, maybe as he got further deeper into the competition, maybe would have trusted Bergvall as much. So I think he may have. Yeah, I think Basuma may have started anyway. But what I will say also with Basuma starting with that double pivot with Bentancur, Basuma brings the best out of Bentancur as well for me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think they both need someone with them, don't they? I think neither of them can be that single, especially in a big game. Like you can half get away with it in some of the lesser games, I guess. But I think both of them need to kind of have someone in and around them. They're not that kind of character that can kind of dominate. I think everyone looks at like a Rodri character and it's like there's not many that can do that. There's not many that can just say, get away, I can do everything sort of thing. So I prefer them both together. What do you think, Brian? Do you think that's
I'm in agreement with the other 2 lads. I think he would have started Basuma and Bentancur, but I think the beauty we have with Lucas Bergvall, if he had been fit, is he could have played any of the three positions. He's got the stamina, the bite, he's got the engine, he's got the flair when needed. I think the great thing we have with Bergvall is he can be used in any of the three. I think the 8's going to be his best position overall in the long run. But he has someone that can find a pass, that can take on his man, that can. You saw, remember that shot that hit the crossbar against Bodo, or was it not Bodo? Frankfurt, when he did that, mate. That was incredible. He's just got this ability which will grow and grow and grow and flourish. So I think he would have gone Sarr. By the way, Sarr last night, another guy that ran his heart out, ran his socks off. I think it would have still been Bentancur and Basuma, though, like Dan and Nige said.
So say we go with this, because obviously tactics have been a massive thing. Say we go with, we're not going to invert, we're going to play very similar to the tactics that we played yesterday, tactics with Frankfurt. If we play like that, is there any holes in this team where you think, if we carry on playing like that, because obviously this squad would have kind of been designed to play more like an Ange ball, is there a certain place where you go, well, we really need to upgrade this sort of player then?
The way we've played, it's either one way or the other. There's no in betweener. This team, the team we had last night, where we had no playmaking, it basically had to do what it did, and it had to do it the dirty way.
Yeah.
We could have done that several times during the Premier League and probably got ourselves another 12 points during it. But it's gone from one side to another. We don't have to play this way. Like what you just said, I've been saying it for ages. This team is made for a 3-4-1-2 or a 3-4-2-1 or 5 at the back, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And need to be played properly. And for the job that needed doing last night, yeah, he got it right. He got the right team out there. They were the right players for it. But if you want to make this thing work properly, you don't just go into a game all gung ho, or you don't just go into a game out and out defend.
Yeah.
You can't do that on a regular basis, either one or the other. This is where you have to have your adaptation to a game in the middle of a game. Right, we got 10, 15 minutes to go. They're putting the pressure on. Now we shut up shop, sort of thing. You've got to have your plan B, your plan C. And at the moment, it's just from one extreme to another, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it goes from there, only time will tell.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So in terms of, we've kind of mentioned it a little bit, and I have a feeling that I know where most people stand. I will just say, though, I know for a fact that Nigel said in previous videos, I will not say Ange out again until the end of the season. And then he quickly said Ange out a couple of games later because Ange was really, really struggling. So, question, I'll start with you, Nigel. What is your stance on Ange before the final, and then has it changed after the final?
Right, this is really difficult. Obviously, I was Ange. I'm Ange. I feel like before the final, 17th in the Premier League, not good enough. Not enjoying the football we're playing. Not getting the best out of the team. After the final, I'm still in the same boat. I'd still like to see a change, but you've got to give him kudos because he got it absolutely bang on yesterday. Every decision he got right. So I can only give him credit for that. You know, am I still Ange? Yes, but
was you because what I felt when I first came into like YouTube, obviously I've only been around it for like a couple of months, and my point was the people that I keep seeing linked with are almost they're not above, like what Brian was saying about players. There's what we keep doing is we keep going and buying players that are either the same level or not as good, and therefore we don't go anywhere. And for me, it was like managers that we're kind of looking at. There are a couple of that we can that are probably upgrades, but a lot of them are kind of the same sort of level. So is it for you now? You're happy for him to go if someone else comes in that's a level above, or is it a case of I just want Ange out and I don't care who comes in, sort of thing. Because that was definitely a lot of fans were kind of in that boat, of just getting that and bringing anyone.
Yeah, without being a complete flip flop, I don't want to. It's so difficult because what Ange did yesterday is everything that all of us fans that have been complaining about Ange and have been Ange out for a while have been asking for, to change the tactics, to adapt. And if he can do that in the Premier League, then great. I haven't got an issue with him, but he won't, and he hasn't. So, do I want to keep him for another 6 months to see if he does? Not really. I kind of think he's done a great job winning us a cup, but now let's move on with someone else.
Fair enough. No, I don't know. Brian, I'm not sure if you heard the question, Dan, but so basically what I was saying is, what was your thoughts on Ange before the final and as it changed after the final? So start with Brian. Are you similar to Nigel in terms of?
So first of all, I will say, not just us having this conversation here, the fact that this has now become a thing, rather than savouring every single minute of this that we haven't had for a long time, blows my mind. Blows my mind. Whether you're pro-Ange, anti-Ange, wherever you are, rather than enjoying this and being united, or they're not, we're being Hotspur, let's say, rather than being united because they're in disarray, it's just driving. It's mad. Now, listen, I've got to eat some humble pie here, and I've always said since I've been on YouTube. Again, Dan can testify this. Me and Dan are the same. If I'm quick enough and have the balls to come online and rant and rave and scream and shout, then I would always say, "Yep, do you know what? Whatever." I had never ever turned on a manager ever, and I have not turned on one, and I'm talking Christian Gross, Jerry Francis. You go all the way back. Hadn't turned on one of them, and I went into this wanting us to see a project out, as they call it. Let a manager have the time, no matter how bad, and I was prepared to do it. And then after the North London derby in January, where there was no fight, passion, desire from the players, I was like, I just. Then someone said to me as I was walking across from the Scotland Yard to do my We Are Tottenham TV bit, someone sent me a message to you and said, "Do you know that Ipswich have now had less defeats than us?" And they hadn't had their first win since November. And it got in my head. But then obviously you look at Tamworth, then there have been loads of reasons. Injuries, no injuries. And for the first ever time, I turned on a manager. Because, and it actually got more to the point that I couldn't believe my arch nemesis had not done what he always does. Yeah. And I have been very, very, very forthright and very, very outspoken about my feelings towards how bad Ange has been doing, Premier League wise. Then obviously we got the performance last night, and as I said when we started on the show, Luke, he's given us something that the managers prior to one day Ramos had not given us. And then I had kind of a real deep moment last night when I was on We Are Tottenham TV 2. When I was on We Are Tottenham TV 2, when I was on Tottenham Away with Dan and everything, I was like, do you know what? There's people, and I think, he's just put a message in the chat. There's people like Lord Rodley Trotter, who's just had a baby this year. Ben Daniel from We Are Tottenham TV, who's got a 1-year-old. There's people that have been watching it. I got a video call or a video message from my dad yesterday, who was watching the game with his two grandchildren, or two of his grandchildren, my two nephews, that had never ever seen a Spurs game trophy in their life, ever. There's people that have seen it with their sons, daughters, and this is like. And I looked at this, I was like, this is a lot deeper than anything. Like I said, we've had Contes, we've had Jose's, we've had Poches, who, without a doubt, Pochettino has given me the best football I've ever seen in my lifetime. Yep. Martinelli is my favourite manager in my entire lifetime, and the whole reason that I turned Levy out, and I'm like, this guy has done what none of them have done. And then you look at This is where I am right now. Is I'm not even entertaining the idea. Before yesterday, if we had lost and before we kicked off, I was like, go, absolutely out the door, goodbye, piss off now. And I even asked it for the club to sack him before the second legs of every European tie from Frankfurt, Bodo. Mate, I've got to eat humble pie. I've got to eat a humble pie. But right now, I'm not entertaining the idea. But again, I look at it like Bader said. There's different ways to look at it. Like Bader said, when Bader said, you can go out a hero now, rather than having the window, the money, it not going wrong. Oh, sorry, not going right. And then, and there's that. And then you've wasted the window of money. I love Thomas Frank, and it's the guy that I wanted before Postecoglou. And it's the guy I would have wanted after. And then you look at it, like I just said about, there was another comment, I can't remember who put it in here, that said, I'd love to get Inzaghi in. Another player, like Eze and Wemo. And again, I stand with, if you can get a better players in, you go and upgrade everywhere you can. Right here, right now, am I Ange in? I don't think I can honestly say that with the greatest of sincerity and go, yeah, do you know what? I'm totally Ange in.
Yeah.
I can tell you right here, right now, I'm not totally Ange out like I was. And I need to own up and take responsibility in what I've said. And I've never insulted him personally, but I have insulted the way we've played, said he's got to go, used the hashtag Ange out, hands up, done that. But like I said, I wake up today as a European champion.
We all do.
Sorry, we all do, yeah. Our team is a European champion. My nephews and other kids, I've seen little Matty K, little bro, he's gone in today wearing his flag and a scarf, and mate, it's deeper than things. But I will take accountability for what I've said. And whereas I am not Tottenham Ranger, that is entirely down to you, mate. That's entirely down to you. I see in the comments and things you said about people, especially myself. And if you want to do that, fair play. That's your call. I have been someone that comes in, admit when I've gone nuts, admit when I've gone wrong, and take accountability. And this is where I stand at the moment. I wouldn't say Ange out right now. I'm not going to say that whatsoever. But I can't, hand on heart, say I'm 100% Ange in. But he has done something that no one else have seen before him do it. So he is going to get the respect. And like I said, at the moment, what I want to do is enjoy all the annoying Arsenal fans, all of the fun we can have doing what we want to do, the open. We are Tottenham TV, Tottenham Ranger. That's all I'll say. And then we will enjoy where we are right now. Go and enjoy this moment. Go and enjoy what's coming Sunday. What will be, will be. And like I said, if someone like an Inzaghi came available, not that I think, but even if we won, even if we had won this, I wouldn't have thought he would have come. But if you can get a manager of an elite level to come in any walk of life, you do it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, even the most staunchest Ange person in the world, surely if an Inzaghi was there, would say no.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't.
You know what I think?
No.
So like I said, going back to it, like I said, I will. Then maybe it's not you, Tottenham Ranger, and on that I apologise. Buddy. I just get a lot of slander thrown my way, which I don't even want to talk about. It's not even worth it. But I apologise, Tottenham Ranger, on my part. But like I said, you you look at this, and right here, right now, Ange Postecoglou has done something that Spurs fans and Spurs managers haven't been able to deliver. Spurs fans haven't been able to witness. And right now, rather than this whole Spurs fan base doing what we do and just going at each other hammer and tongs, let's enjoy this moment together and enjoy this moment. But like I said, I people around the world are waking up today as a Spurs fan with a spring in their step, wanting to bust into work and see their colleagues, go to school, see their family members, WhatsApp with their friends and everything. And mate, that's what football is all about. That is what football is all about. So, Ange out. Am I 100% Ange out like I was before the final? Absolutely not. Am I 100% Ange in? Absolutely not.
Nicely moving on, especially bringing in the Inzaghi. I mean, we've got the man to talk about if we're going down the Inzaghi route. So let's go with, we'll go with your thoughts on Ange first, because I have a feeling we all know where that's going to go, and then we'll go to Inzaghi afterwards. So has your opinions changed on him from before to after?
No, not at all. I try to be a fair person. I will grill someone when they're crap. I will give credit where credit is due. Sadly, the manager or the players haven't really deserved any credit this season, bar maybe one or two players you can say could actually walk off that pitch. Forget that last game. There's probably about 2 players in that entire team that could walk off that pitch with any pride over the season. And for me, that's Bergvall and Johnson. And I don't even rate Johnson as a player, but he's there to tap in the goals. I don't care how the goals go in. The rest of the team has been pretty embarrassing to themselves. This is all forgetting last night, by the way. And Ange has been abysmal as a manager. He hasn't adapted to nothing. He hasn't changed to nothing. I agree with what Brian says. I mean, does it need to go into this and everything? Why do we have to talk about this? But the thing is, it's going to get spoken about. Why? Because it's like a tattoo I've got on my, like writing I've got on my arm. Time waits for no man. So we can sit here and all enjoy this as much as we want for the next couple of days. Perfectly fine. But you know the question on the back of everyone's head. So why not say it? Is Ange going to stay or go? Should he stay or go? Of course people are going to ask it. And the way he's pulled that off and done it, credit where it's due. Brilliant. He deserves all the credit for it. But all the stick he's had during the season, he deserves every bit of that as well. He brought a majority on himself. And for me,
this is where I agree. I completely agree. And the whole Ange in, Ange out debate, it's like, I can imagine that the whole Ange in lot now is like, we won, ha. But actually, everybody's right in terms of, if you was Ange out because of the league, you are absolutely 100% correct on that, because the league has not been acceptable. My caveat was that I felt like he was focusing on the cups, and that we had as good a chance with him as anyone to win a cup, and we've done it. So we were both right. That's it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm not right because we've won a cup because the league's been terrible. So it is a little bit of both.
It is. Right. Everyone looks on things in different way. Yeah, I just look on football like I look on life. When it comes to people that I call a friend, and there's not many that I do call a friend. There's a lot I call mates, but not that I'd call a friend or whatever. I'm a very loyal person. But when it comes to business, and whether we like it or not, football is a business. It's a sport. Yep. You need to do what is best for your team, your business. It's a dog-eat-dog world. Same as I don't care if a player's been with us 10 years and been brilliant and whatever. Does he deserve a new contract now? I'm just saying random. Well, if you're not good enough now, no. Goodbye. See you later. Well done. You've done your job. See you later. And I won't shed a tear. And this is where I feel a lot of the fan base, Spurs fan base especially, are very, very sentimental. Very sentimental and very accepting. They'd be willing to give a player another 3-year contract just because he's been here for 10 years and done a great job. I'm not. For me, it's dog-eat-dog world. You want to get to the top, you don't do it through being nice. You want to get to be the best of things, you don't do it through jogging along with your mate, waiting for your mate to be able to catch up with you to score 12 goals so you get noticed by the scout as well, do you? No. You leave your mate sitting there because it's dog-eat-dog. If you want to be the best, you got to be ruthless. And that's one thing we are not at Spurs. What Ange has done is not short of a miracle, basically, yeah? I mean, for me, how Conte got us into 4th place was not far off a miracle with the team he bloody had. But this, he's done his job, and he deserves every bit of credit for this.
Mhm.
Everyone's happy for it, and he deserves. Not far off a miracle. But for me, personal opinion, there's a difference between the cup and the league, and the league is the one that talks. I called the man after 7 games, his first 7 games, and said, "We haven't been beaten yet, but if he plays like this for the rest of the season, we will get destroyed. But don't worry, people. He's obviously got a plan B. This is just how he starts." Well, in that aspect, I couldn't have been more wrong if I tried. And his style of play is just not made for a league, not a top league, not a Premier League, not Bundesliga, not Serie A, not La Liga. His style is just not good enough for that. You cannot play that way in these leagues over 38 games and expect yourself to finish up the top. The thing that saved him last year was 10 games. What he's done is brilliant. I'll shake his hand for it. Excellent. Well done, mate. But why at Spurs has it got to be one or the other? I mean,
I completely agree. I don't think
I've been told, shut up, you've got a cup. Okay, I'm happy I've got a cup, but does that now mean I have to accept 21 defeats every season in 17th position? We're meant to be the 7th biggest club in the bloody world. Let's have a look at Real Madrid. We're not Real Madrid, I get that. But the point I'm going to make here is if Real Madrid, which they have done, won the Champions League and then finished out of the top 2 in the league, what did they do? They sacked their manager. Chelsea,
serious clubs, aren't they? They're serious clubs.
But Chelsea go and win things, and then they still get rid of the manager if he hasn't performed in the league. Man City would do it. Liverpool have done it. Inter Milan have done it. Right, all the top teams, and we are in the top 10 biggest teams in the world. That is what they do. The league, at the end of the day, is your bread and butter. I can push this season aside in 3 years' time, 2 years' time, and say, yeah, 24-25. Yeah, we won the Europa. It'll be over the moon. Well done, Ange. Quality for doing it. Yeah, we had a crap season, but I can let that go. But if I'm going to look on this on a business side and a realistic side, I just personally don't believe Ange is good enough for the big league. Whereas I have also stated clearly at the start of the season, again, Brian can back me up on this one, saying that as soon as I can on his ones, I said Ange can win a cup. Of course he can win a cup. And the way he plays, you can win a cup. I mean, look how England got to 2 finals, for God's sake, the way they played. And I just do not think Ange is good enough as a manager as a whole to take us further in the league. He might get us a League Cup next season, but then people better be happy with a 12th or 13th place or a 14th place. And I'm not happy with that. I want to be competing for both. I know we're not going to win the league because we're not Man City, we're not Liverpool, we're not Arsenal, we're not up there with the others, but I at least want to be fighting for a top 4 place and getting somewhere in the cups.
Yeah, I think it's where you're at as a club as well, though. Part of that is because, like, let's say, for instance, if we get the same next year, say we go and win. Let's not say League Cup.
Sorry, I'll be back 1 sec.
Say we win. Let's not go League Cup because I think everyone's kind of a little bit dismissive of that. We probably would have been this year, but let's say we win an FA Cup next year and finish 15th. That for me becomes unacceptable. Whereas if we finish 4th with no cups, or 5th with no cups, but we're challenging. But this year, for me, it was just a case of we have to win something. We have to get it over the line. And if it's giving up a league place, then it's giving up a league place. But again, it's like it has to be in your priority. So, for instance, if you're someone who's won something in the last few years, you'd never give up your league position. But if you're someone who hasn't won it in a 30, 40, 50 year, then I just think for me, I'm just like, sod it, we'll give it up. And then next year, we have to then, do you know what I mean?
Example I can give you then, to basically understand what you're saying and making you right as well. If we go, let's just say go back 3 years, 4 years, Man City would have quite happily gone up to Liverpool and say, I'll give you 2 league titles for a Champions League title, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it, a priority. Arsenal now would give anything for a Champions League.
It's the only thing that holds them back from being one of the big boys, doesn't it? They have to sit on our table because they haven't won any. They've only won more of what we've won. They haven't won anything we haven't won. They can't sit there with Chelsea and that. But this is where the sentimental side comes in, and people live on morals and everything else. I'm sorry, when it comes to sports and when it comes to business, I don't have morals. I don't have sympathy. I don't have empathy. I don't work like that. I want to win, so I don't care how I do it. And in this aspect with that, are we now going to do the morally correct thing, which would be, come on then, let's give him another 6 months. I'm not denying that if you want to go morally correct. But hang on a minute. Don't we just look like up the road at Man United and say, well, that's exactly what they done, and then let him waste another 100 million or 150, whatever he spent, if not more than that, I think it was. And then they have to get in another manager in the middle of the season, and that's another season gone to shit. That's another load of players in that ain't going to be wanted by the next manager or whatever, and then your team's up shit street even more. Or do you do what a real big business does, what a real big club does, and turn around and say, do you know what, Ange? We kept you through the season. You got your 400 million. You got to the final and you've won us a title. Well done, mate. There's another 1.5 million in your bank account, which I'm sure there's something like that on his bank account anyway for it, whether it's 500 grand or 1.5. But I'm sorry, mate. I just do not think you are good enough to do the job that we need in the Premier League, where the bread and butter is at the end of the day. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot. Baked potato. See you later. Sounds ruthless, but I'm sorry. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And some might think he's good enough. I just don't think he is, and I'm not going to live on morals. But I respect what he's done, and he deserves all the credit in the world for it.
The thing with the Man United thing, and I know why people use it, and it's an obvious example to go to, but this is where I think Spurs go. This is where I think Spurs go wrong in terms of, if you have a clear structure, your clear understanding of what you want, you bring in players that suit that system. You lose the manager, you bring in another manager that plays a very similar system. Whereas what Man United done is they had a way, they gave all of that money to a Ten Hag and then brought in a manager that plays completely different. That's not how most footballs is sustainable. So a lot of the managers that we've been seen linked to, the way that the clubs operate is we play this way, we bring in a manager that suits it, and when we get rid of them, when they go on to bigger things or when they sack them, we bring in another manager that's similar. So you just keep evolving. So if you give him, let's say he gets 150 million and goes and buys a load of players, if we bring in a manager that doesn't play his system but similar, it shouldn't be a massive upheaval, which is what we keep doing, going from Conte to Nuno to
that one.
You know what I mean?
That one I can make you right on, but then out of that 11, out of our first 11, name me the teams that actually play his system, the way he wants them to play. Name me the players that actually do it. Now, you actually go and get a player in here like a manager in like Glasner or Frank. And again, this is where I feel we go to the older reign of Spurs supporters, definitely, and some of every other age, of the Spurs philosophy. I couldn't give a toss about the Spurs philosophy. I really could not care less that we're meant to play with wingers that can do this and attacking football. I don't care. I am not going to be one of those idiots, and I will say idiots, sitting there just chanting and happy that we're losing 6-3 instead of winning 1-0 by scrimping and scraping. Because I'm sure no one last night ain't complaining that we scrimped and scraped, are they?
Yeah.
Whereas halfway through the season, what was Ange's defending a lot of things? No, I want to see attacking football. I want to see us do things. I don't want to win games 1-0 Conte way. Well, hang on a minute. I don't hear many people complaining from doing that last night. The question comes down to, what do you want to do? Do you want to just look good and watch football? Or do you actually want to win? Or do you actually want to do something? And what he done last night is we had to win, and we did it the dirty way, and nobody can sit there and tell me we did it the Spurs way, the philosophy way, of why people won't have Glasner, of why people won't have Frank, of why people won't have other managers because they're too pragmatic for the Spurs style. It just depends what way you want to go. Some people just want to watch good football. Some people actually want to win. I'm one of the ones that wants to win, and I honestly don't care how we do it. If this team was made to play Ange's way, surely it would have been doing much better by now. When every game we've actually done good in, we haven't used inverted wing backs. We've played counter-attacking football, and we've actually looked bloody good at it.
Yeah, completely agree. What do you think, Nige? Should we get rid of him or should we keep him? Because we've had all the chats now, so now you can make your decision again.
I just want to enjoy the next couple of days, Luke. Do you know what? There was an interesting bit of the conversation earlier when you were talking about what do we want now? You know, do we want to finish like 4th and no trophy, or would you take an FA Cup in 15th? I tell you what, after last night, I've got a taste for it now. I want it again.
Yeah.
You know, I want it again. I don't want to be waiting another 17 years. So it's an interesting take. Do I want to finish 4th and get no trophy? No, I want to win a bloody trophy next year. So if that means winning an FA Cup and having another poor season, then I'm not going to say that now. But I just want to win trophies.
Yeah.
Because that's what Spurs used to do.
But we mentioned it earlier, didn't we? I think Brian brought it up, and it's like we've hit pivotal. I seem to say this. I feel like I say it every year. It's a big summer for Spurs. It's a big summer for Spurs. But we need to do the opposite of what we've done in a Champions League final. Because in a Champions League final, it was almost like the whole club went, "Oh, we've arrived." It's like, no, we haven't. We've put a step in the door. We now need to go. We need to go up. And we need to keep going and keep going and go. And especially nowadays, because when you look at the clubs that are around us, the Newcastles, the Villas, and everything else, if you let them get too far in front, it's going to be too hard to catch them up. I have put a couple of starred questions in the chat, or some points just to kind of go over. So David R said, would you swap Spurs this season with Newcastle's if Newcastle finished top 5 with the way Eddie Howe has approached each game compared to Ange? There's two different parts to this question for me, and I think this is the Arsenal-Tottenham debate as well, which I think is getting a bit confused. The fact that Newcastle, regardless, will be in a better position next year in terms of their preparation and everything to go on and challenge or whatever. Whereas for us, everything's been playing catch up and it's a little bit chaotic. Same with Arsenal. Arsenal are still in a better place than what we are. But for me, we've still had a better season because we've won a cup. But
because we got the trophy, innit?
Yeah. That's the only reason why. And I spoke about this yesterday, and it's a case of what Arsenal have achieved is essentially qualification for the Champions League. That's all they've achieved this year. We've done that, but we've also won a cup. Now, again, I'm not saying next year we should be fighting it out and finish above Arsenal. I still think they are in a better footing and they're a better base at this moment in time. But in terms of right now, the most successful season for me is our season. But would you guys swap our season to a Europa League and let's go with 17th just because that's how Spurs are going to finish? Or would you go top 5 Champions League qualification and the FA Cup? Brian?
I would take the Europa League. If we're doing this on trophies, to me, the Europa League, out of all the domestic leagues, obviously the domestic stuff, the Premier League is the one we all desperately want and the one we haven't claimed. And then the FA Cup is so special to me. I honestly reckon just because of nostalgia and what the FA Cup meant when I was growing up and Nigel and Dan were growing up, if it had been the FA Cup over the Europa League, I think my romance with the FA Cup would have taken over this question, and I probably would have said the FA Cup and Champions League success right over 17th. But I've just got, I'm going to say this bit now here. When we're talking about where we are now, obviously we spoke about Ange. I don't really want to talk about the man I hate more than anyone within this football club in football, but I am going to speak about him just very, very quickly just on this because he's now, like we said at this crossroads, it's what does he do? Mm-hmm. If someone said to me, and also remember this time, going into this window, not saying that this time is Paratici. And if this prick says, I'm going to stay away from football, which obviously he never does, do I feel more comfortable with Ange, with Paratici and Vinay than I do Lange and Munn? The answer is 100 million% yes. If someone said to me, new manager and Daniel Levy doing what he normally does, or new owners roll of the dice and Ange over Levy and a new manager, every single time I pick bye-bye Levy, Ange will give you a go with new owners. This comes down to it. We look at it now. Does Daniel Levy go, like I've seen as soon as he did that little speech that came out today, you have no idea how many times I get sent that. Whenever that map just like ping, 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 and he has the gall and the nerve to go, hopefully this will lead us and put us back on the road where we should be. Well, no. You should have invested in the teams going forward. You should have invested and not fed the Spurs fans lies and taken advantage of them time after time after time. You're now saying that because you can hear the Champions League music in your head. You can hear the tills ringing and new revenue streams opening. I would feel, once I know Paratici is officially confirmed in, do I see, I mean, from what I heard, Paratici and Vinay both said bye-bye, and Paratici wanted him, said get rid of him in December. Does that mean anything? No. I don't think
Paratici wanted him in the first place. I think he
didn't.
He didn't. And it comes to the point with, if Paratici has the power that we're being led to believe, whether you believe it or not, we'll see. But now we're at this moment where we know Champions League revenue is coming in. We have that clout of offering team players the top European competitions. We have the money coming in for paying the wages that we've saved. We have the money coming off the wage bill, i.e. definitely Werner, maybe Romero and other outgoings. Let's go see how this club take advantage of this golden opportunity that has opened up to us for getting Champions League football.
You kind of touched on it there about Fabio Paratici.
Yeah,
that goes back to what Dan said earlier in terms of, are you a serious club? So do we sit here and just say, oh well, Ange deserves it, so let's just be romantic and say, yeah, well, we will keep him. But actually, if Paratici wants rid, then what are you know what I mean? Being that ruthless, that club that just wants to get to the top. If Levy's sitting there saying, you know what, he is my man, Fabio is the one that's going to change it round, then do we not just have to do that ruthlessness and say, right, okay, well, if we want him, he's gone and he's out and he's in, he brings, do you know what I mean? It's almost like we keep going back to that ruthless. It's like this summer for me is, and I kept hearing it on YouTube a lot about this serious. And that's what it comes down to for me. If this summer we make big decisions which need to be done and we come out of it the other side, you go, we're now acting like a serious club.
Yeah, that's Dan, you're on mute.
On mute, Dan.
Even after the transfer window. Again, this is where, again, I just bring it back to a lot of Spurs fans because it's comical. A lot of Spurs fans said we had a serious good transfer window because we bloody got Archie Gray and Bergvall. Really? That was a great summer, wasn't it? Looked excellent transfer window. But again, we have a habit at Tottenham of just being so used to being a loser club, loser mentality, that we almost make it right. And it's not. Last night was our first sign of winning anything that any of us have seen for 17 years and that some supporters have ever seen. But again, if you've got people that are going to justify paying 40 million for a player that isn't even Premier League ready yet and has never played in the Premier League or has never even played in a big league since he only played in the Championship, when you could have gone out and spent 30 million on a player who would have walked into that first team and on half his wages, by the way. I mean, me, Savas, Stell, and a few others, Alex, went for about 4 players that got moved about that we could have got. But people will justify it at Tottenham.
It's about priorities for me. It's about priorities, and the youngsters shouldn't be the priority. We go back to
and the priority is to win. It should be right. We need to improve that first 11. We buy you. You get into that first 11. You take his place. He now comes back a step because you're better than him, and you now fight for your place. And that's how you build a better squad. Not focusing on the kids and everything.
I think I said it on Savas when we done the Sunday session. The facts is that I keep hearing a lot about boosting the squad. Right. Well, if you go out and you've got a right winger of Brennan Johnson, you go out and you sign an Mbeumo, Johnson then becomes your backup. That's how you improve your squad. You don't keep filling out with numbers. You go and improve your 11, which makes your 11 then become a bench player, which then becomes a better squad.
Quality, not quantity. And that is a problem we've had at Spurs for a long time as well. And I know people love to be sentimental and I know people love to be empathy and everything. Well, sorry, that just doesn't work with me. I want Spurs to be at the top. I want to get at the top. And not one person on here can tell me you get to the top anywhere by being nice. You've got to be
Not
ruthless if you want to
very-
get there.
Very,
It
very,
is
very-
what it is. Like it or lump it, whether it sounds horrible, whatever, it is a fact. Tell me one football team that has got to the top through being nice. What was the first thing Mourinho said when he came in? I want this team to play like a bunch of see you next Tuesdays when they have to.
And they do, just not in terms of the way he wanted to. They played like it all year.
Yeah, exactly. But you're getting what I'm saying, aren't you? You don't
100%.
get it through being nice.
Would you have, because we've gone off topic, we've gone on tangents, this is brilliant, but would you swap? Would you take Newcastle season or would you prefer Spurs?
I mean, the thing that makes that one tricky is the European trophy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would take Newcastle season over the season we've had. Why? Because they're going to finish in the Champions League, which is what we've got.
Yeah.
They're going to have significantly more revenue for being in the Champions League and being that high in the league.
What are they? 12? They're 12 spots above us, aren't they?
I'm not sure exactly what it is. What are they now? Fourth or fifth?
Well, the question is if they finish fifth. So let's say if they finish fifth, they get 30 million.
Let's say they finish fifth then, yeah, and get in the Champions League, because this year you can do that through fifth place. Right. They've got all the Champions League money. They've got easily another 40, 50 million on top of us because of where you finish in the league. And then on top of that, they've had a respectable season where they haven't just literally had it to the point where not even people are taking the piss out of them anymore because they literally feel sorry for them, for God's sake. Where we don't even get Arsenal supporters grill us for the season because they actually almost felt empathy for us, for fuck's sake. Yeah. And sorry, I would go with Newcastle season because I would have had a respectful season, not totally embarrassed about my team in literally every game it's played in, not totally embarrassed about my manager apart from one thing he's done.
Won your trophy.
And I would still have a trophy to show at the end of it. No, the League Cup isn't as big as the Europa Cup. I agree with that. But I would have rather had a more consistent, better season where I was still looking forward to watching my games in the Premier League instead of literally dreading watching every game in the Premier League and then just looking forward to the past two games that we've played.
That's the one bad thing about streaming is that just don't watch it. I have to have some sort of understanding of what happened. Nige, would you take Spurs this season or Newcastle's?
It sounds like an easy question, but after last night's euphoric win and just, it's still going through your head, it kind of makes it a little
tricky.
bit difficult.
It is a very, very good question.
But at the same time, as a Newcastle fan, you've got hope for next season. I'm still feeling like, we still might be a bit bad. And of course, they got a really good manager. So I probably would go for Newcastle season, but I'm loving the fact we won a European trophy.
100%. I completely agree. It's a tough question. I probably would have just gone European trophy just purely because, but next year would be better. If we finished fifth next year, then it's an easier answer. But who's to know?
I can understand why people would do it, because I must admit, I hear it and it does. It has got its attraction. I'm not saying it has got its attraction, but I just personally think for the whole season, I'd have rather just had a good season, enjoyed watching my team play, and got a trophy out of us. And if anyone can say that the League Cup, we look down on that, I'm sorry. Remember this, people. We are only Tottenham Hotspur when it comes to cups, and we have no right to look down at any cup.
I'm completely with you on that, but do you know what? I'm with Luke on this. Yes, it would have been nice to finish fifth. Yes, it would have been nice to have a respectable season. But do you remember the fear we had when Arsenal were going into PSG? Like, don't let them get to a final. Just don't let them get. Who got a European trophy first? Then add to this, when Son missed that chance, and they all came at us for going, "Oh, you did that and you bottled it, and you could have had Champions League." How about we've done the treble? We stopped you winning the league. People were saying that, "Oh, you blew your chance to get into the Champions League," only to say, "Let's give it a year and go on and win the bloody cup and get back in the Champions League." I'm sorry, but I've waited years and years and years to have this trophy over Arsenal moment. Give me this and inject it into my lungs every single lungs. Don't inject into my lungs, my veins.
I was going to say that's not healthy.
That would be. I'm so delirious. That would be some needle. That would be. Don't inject anything into my lungs. Or kids, if you're watching this, don't recommend it. Yeah, mate. I can't, mate. For me, yes, our league position has been. And the performance has been shambolic, and there's no getting away from it. Injuries, no injuries. We knew we were going to play 4 competitions a season. We knew what we needed, and we got let down by whether the board have backed in, which they have financially, but the quality of player has been poor. The wages has been poor. Yeah, no. Give me the European trophy every day of the week over the Carabao.
It is a great question, I must say. This one we'll do quickly. Has Johnson paid off his price tag? He's gone some way. Because also, let's not just forget the goal, or not goal, whatever you want to call it, in the final. But he's done a lot, as you said, Dan. That when people talk about who has Ange improved, I'm not saying he's improved him as a player, but to turn Johnson into that sort of goal scorer, he's never got anywhere near that sort of numbers. I think he has. I think he's gone well on his way to paying some of that price tag off. I still don't think we should have spent that amount of money on him, but European trophy does have
again.
Some sort
if I have to be the more negative one here, I mean, I know Brian has a soft spot for Johnson. He always did, but struggled at times as well. But for me, I think he's a terrible player. I think he's one of the slowest, quickest players we've ever seen. I think that's the phrase.
He's so is. Who is
it who made that one up? I can't remember. It was either Stell or Sava that made that one up. One of them two. I can't remember. But either way, he's got to be the slowest, quickest player I've ever seen. He can't take his man on. He's got no physicality on him. He can't dribble the bloody ball. He can't cross the ball consistently. He can't pass with it. He don't come back and bloody defend 9 times out of 10. And when he does score, it's like playing with 10 men after that, unless he taps in the second one, because he just evaporates on the pitch. I think he's a dreadful player. But I was one of the ones who argued too for Nail. He had to start last night, because if anyone could do that dirty little tapping that happened, it is him.
Yeah.
And does it really matter how you score a goal, whether it's a tap-in or whether it's a world-class goal? At the end of the day, it goes in the back of the net, so who cares? Again, this is where pretty football don't... Obviously, we want to see prettier football, but pretty football don't bother me at the aspect. Sometimes you got to do it dirty, like we did last night again. Forget the Spurs philosophy, if there ever is one. And for me personally, he's just... I think we would actually get better out of him, again, if we played a 4-3-1-2 and played him alongside Solanke and used him as a... Not relating them as quality, but relating them as style, as a bit of Michael Owen, Emil Heskey style. Use one as the target man, use one as more the poacher. I think that is where you would see the best out of Johnson, alongside, say, Solanke, them doing that double pivot together up front. For me, he is not a winger in any means or manner. Inside forward, 17 goals. He's done his job this season. Fair play to him.
What do you think, Nige? Has he paid back? He's far too much price tag.
I'm guessing yes. I mean, I must admit, I got a little bit of a soft spot for him as well. But Dan's right; he's a terrible player. But I've said it before. I've said it so many times. It depends what you want. If you want a player that's going to take on your man and get lots of assists and get you off your seat, he's probably not that player. But if you want a player who's going to get you numbers, he'd do it. So for me, I think he's paid off his price tag. He's a European Cup final goal scoring winner. So, if it was his goal.
It's given to him. It has been given to him. I'm not quite sure whether he got a touch. Yeah, it's been given to him. I had to check it today. But so it sounds like Dan's already answered Brian's answer.
Mate, no, listen, first of all, what Destiny was saying is that he had he paid for his price tag, qualification for the Champions League is more than his price. So the answer, wherever way you go to look at it, is absolutely he has, and we have a trophy to prove it.
It's a great point.
And we have a trophy to pay for it. Listen, I saw on We Are Tottenham TV that girl, Alice. What's that? The Manchester United fan.
Yeah.
She said straight away, "We're going to lose this 1-0." Brennan Johnson on the far post, near post, Tap-in.
Scrappy goal or something, she said, didn't she?
Mate,
yeah.
And listen, like Dan said at the beginning, I do have a soft spot for him. I believe we're playing him out of position. Do I think we can get better? Absolutely. Absolutely we can. But you look at this, right, and honestly, I'm being serious when I say this right now. We were just having this discussion of whether you would take 17th and the Europa League over Newcastle this season. If you will go back and look at Brennan Johnson's goals and assists, forget whether they were tap-ins or whatever, we would have been a lot closer to a fucking relegation scrap than we think we would have been.
Agreed.
Of course.
It would have been a lot closer. We're all saying, oh my God, thank God these teams are so shit below us that we didn't get seriously dragged into it as we were plummeted. You take Johnson's goals and assists out, I'm telling you now, we are a lot closer to that. Do we need to get better in and give him? I also think we play. I always come with this argument to the table or talking point. There's a Nottingham Forest fan that I've been on a couple of Savage charity streams with called Wolfie.
Yeah.
Who is a major Forest fan. And he always sees me waxing lyrical about the love or one of my favourite players in Morgan Gibbs White, who I adore. And I was on a stream with him, and it was not this season, like first season of Ange. And I hadn't looked at it this way, and he said this, and I stand by everything he said with this. The reason he was so successful at Nottingham Forest, and let's face it, he's the reason they stayed up that season before we bought him. It was his goals, and they played counter-attacking football, and they obliterated, or they used, as Dan said, his really quick slowness or his real slow quickness, whichever way you want to look at it. He got through on goal, and he was lethal, and he got the ball in the back of the net, saves them. So he had grass to run into and open space to exploit. Then he comes to Tottenham Hotspur, who are a counter-attacking football team, and he's asked to play in a position he didn't play at Forest with a completely different style of football. Whereas people are going to be defending deeper with us, you're going to have to try and do stuff that you... Do we need to get a better... Do I think he could have a major impact in a different system? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Like as an inside forward. Yes, I think you get much better numbers from him. In this position he's currently playing, do we need better? Absolutely. Or even someone there to say, do you know what? Your game's here, Brennan, my game's here. I'm going to give you so much competition that you're going to try and raise your game. But the question is, or was, from Destiny, has Brennan Johnson's price tag been paid? And then some.
Yeah, you mentioned Champions League money, and it kind of answered the question.
And
I tell you what, this has kind of been covered by us. Keep Johnson as an impact sub because we need a player that can beat his man and cross the ball. I think what we've been saying about upgrading your 11, Johnson becomes an impact player from the bench. I think that's a perfect role for him. And I think if you go out and you can get an Embuemo, then I think that you've got an absolutely perfect. And also Johnson is obviously a different player to Mbemo. You've got different options. I think that is a perfect signing. And now we've got Champions League football. I think there's a possibility that we could get there. We have kind of touched on it, and I do think that we're probably going to have different views on this now from what's been said. But what would success look like to you next year? And obviously, let's be realistic with it. Like Champions League win is probably out of our reach. But what would be successful? Would a season like we've had, where we win, say, an FA Cup, would be in a Newcastle where maybe we get a League Cup and a fifth? What would be success for you? Where you'd go, say, Ange stays in charge, and you think, yeah, do you know what? He's done a decent enough job there. Or where would you want to go, Nige? I'll start with you.
For me, seeing as we've been so bad in the league this year, it's so easy to say, yeah, top four in the cup. But if we could get in that top 8 again and hopefully win a cup, whether that be the League Cup or the FA Cup, I think that would be a good season for Tottenham. You know, I think we're so bad in the league now, we can't be looking at that Champions League and that top 4 and think, yeah, we can break that, because I think we need a lot of work to do that.
Say you was offered Europa League then? So someone said next season you get Europa League football through the league. You think that's about?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good season.
Dan's had a fall. Right, and
Sorry,
what would be your? So Nigel's saying Europa League through the league. So what would that be? I mean, this year is a bit skewed, isn't it? Because of the 5th place, but he's looking. You're probably looking top 7. I'm guessing
6th, 7th. Yeah.
The joker version of me. Success for me next season is new owners. That's success. But if we're looking at this on a football pitch, I'm totally in agreement with Nige, and I've said it on a few streams. I said, should it be a new manager, which is where the line I was going with it last time, because before the final, where I was saying Ange out and everything, I said the next manager that's come in, we always say, oh yeah, we got to get top 4. Tottenham should be challenging for top 4. Where we've been in the league right now, one of the biggest things we do as Spurs fans, and I'm guilty of it, is we over-exaggerate, or we get, oh my God, this is challenging for the title. It's deemed success. Where we currently are right now, take away the Europa League. Let's go back to the bread and butter of the domestic and the Premiership. We need to not allow this to happen again. We need to be nowhere near the bottom half of the table. Nowhere near the bottom half of the table, let alone the lower part of the bottom of the table. And we build again. Listen, the Ange debate will rage on. To me, so going for taking the domestic cup. I mean, I will never change it. I always say at the start of the season, I want the FA Cup. I want the FA Cup. If someone had said it to me in 1991, all of us, and the people in the chat in 1991, when we won it for the 8th time, it will be 35 years without Tottenham even being in the final, let alone winning the thing.
Yep.
Not even Arsenal, Chelsea, West Ham, United, not a fan in the country would have gone, yeah, Spurs won't be in a FA Cup final for 35 years. So the FA Cup is always my number one. And literally, let's qualify for Europe again. I'm not going to start going, oh my God, let's make the league title push, because I'm not setting the bar that high. I don't believe I'm too low and saying, oh my God, Brian, where's your standards gone? We've had a horrific campaign. Horrific. Like I said, this is minus Europa. I'm just talking domestic here. And let's see where it takes us. But Spurs should always be challenging for top 4 because of our stature, where we've gone, where we've been. But let's try and do this gradually and build it up. So when we are there again, the structure's in place to maintain it being there. Hopefully, Vinay and Paratici have got a structure so there's a stream of players coming through or targets. Like, I can't remember who said it in the chat right now. Right now, it was a few comments ago. There's no excuse now why the $6 million can't be paid. There's no the wages. There are many teams starting to move the chess pieces now to go right. Yeah. Let's try and get in first. Let's see Spurs actually be proactive in the transfer market and bring in the quality that will get us going there.
That we need.
Exactly. Let's stop putting fucking plasters over, but let's stop putting plasters over bullet wounds and actually build it. So when opportunities come our way or a huge injury or whatever, we're in a position to go, all right, that's happened. Here's the contingency plan to get that going. Let's just get this football club purring like a football club again.
In summary, then, so both of you think that Europa League positions in the league should be accomplished, and the dream for that season would be if we could nick a cup. Dan, do you agree with that? If we was finishing 6th, 7th next year and challenging in cups, would that be an acceptable season? I'm not saying this is a dream. I'm saying just an acceptable season.
Look, we're not going to win cups season in, season out. I mean, who knows? We might win a cup for the next 3 seasons on the straight. You don't know. Anybody can win a cup. It's just very, very rare that anybody ever wins a league sort of thing. I mean, Leicester, what they done was just strange. But anybody can win a cup. If we was to go, say, finish sixth next season and have 2 runs in the cup like we did in the home cups, I would be happy with the season. Yes, I want to see trophies, but one thing I have to hold you to, Brian. Sorry, mate. You said something and it reminded me. I got to quote you here and hold you to this one. Yeah?
Go on, brother. Go on.
You stated clear as day.
Yep.
And everyone disagreed with you. And then I was the one who started agreeing with you when sat down and thought about it after a couple of shows we done.
Yeah.
You didn't want us to finish Champions League last year because we was not ready for Champions League.
Correct.
The only one, if we was ready for anything in Europe, it was Europa.
Correct.
And literally everyone said, bollocks, we want Champions League. After about 2 weeks, I joined you on that one, if you remember, and said, do you know what? It's got a point. For the club-wise and everything, yes, and the money-wise, Champions League is what we want. But for the structure of manager and players we've got, Europa is our capability at its best.
Yep.
100%.
And look where it
100%.
goes. You were the one who first stated that. So I'm not actually grilling you here. I'm actually bigging you up on this one. You would want to actually
got a bit of concern though. You said I'm going to hold you to account. I was like,
yeah, I thought we remembered a quote, Brian.
No, I remember the quote, but it was a good quote. Because I'm just surprised you forgot to mention it yourself. So
no, Joe, mate, do you know what I had? But the reason I was saying it as well, Dan, is I wanted to see it and use it as an opportunity to see players like Divine, Donnelly, and obviously they've all gone out on loan, and then we obviously shifted gears, and obviously it would look like the Europa League was where Ange had his head. But that's what I was saying. I mean, if you do look at it, if we'd had this injury season in the Champions League and the teams that were in there and the quality of some of the games we saw, yes, we would have had the financial pool and everything. Like you said that, Dan, I completely forgot about that. But yeah, we entered the competition, didn't use it the way I thought we would use it. As in, you could say Gray, Bergvall, but they were because of massive injury. But
you said our capability was not Champions League. That was Europa at its best. Yeah,
exactly, bro. And I can't thank you for that, mate. I'm going to have to try and dig the time. I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go through 18 months.
I have a feeling Brian's going to repeat that for the next few weeks. I think that's going to be
mate, as soon as we finish, I'm going to my Twitter and I know what I tweeted. And I'm going to be like, you know those guys that go, you see? No, I won't do that.
It was just when you were talking about it, it just clicked. And I just remembered you were the first one who said, I don't want Champions League. And everyone said, what is the matter with you? Like, say no or whatever.
I said that we are Tottenham TV. I need them to dig that out. Thank you, Dan. Dan, mwah.
And
I think that does happen.
I was the one who agreed with you after 2 weeks.
You were.
But it took me a couple of weeks to actually look at it and think, okay, Champions League might be best for the revenue, but for the players and manager we've got, we're going to go in that Champions League, and there is no dropping down to the Europa. And if we would have been in Champions League, compared to who we played in Europa, can you imagine this team, even if it did what it did last night or whatever else, or how we played against Frankfurt, doing that against Munich, doing that against Inter, doing that against Barcelona, Real Madrid, doing that against Juventus.
Yep.
You know,
but it's
we
also,
would come out.
That's why this summer's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
What, just like the last one and the one before?
But that's what I said.
But we have
the one before.
But I think it's more dangerous this time around because I think that we always knew that Newcastle were eventually going to step up once they could start spending money. But the fact they've now won a trophy, I think they've accelerated it. If Aston Villa don't qualify for the Champions League, I think they're financially virtually ruined. But if they do get Champions League again, they're going to. So it's almost like you've already got the top 6 expanded already.
Mm-hmm. The way it works with them ones, I mean, Tottenham are one of the only clubs on the planet that can actually stand itself. We could finish 15th in the league for the next 3-4 years and still support ourselves. I'm not saying we're great, but we could. We don't need to sell young players. We don't need to sell players. We don't need to win trophies and whatever to hold ourselves. Chelsea, they do. That is why they sell their young players and they're so good at it. Man City need to win things or sell young players so they're allowed to spend money. People think I'm insulting when I'm saying this. I'm just stating the fact. The further up north you go, the poorer it gets. The money is in London. End of. That is why Liverpool, Newcastle, Man U, Man City, and all the teams up north can't even charge the ticket prices that bloody Fulham charge, or we charge, or anyone in London, because London is where the money is. And Newcastle are now at the stage where they've got in the Champions League again. It's actually given that revenue to spend it because they can't make it otherwise up there. Fulham charge, I don't know, are they higher ticket prices than us or second? They're either first or second highest ticket prices. Fulham, not even Liverpool and Man U can charge those ticket prices. And that's the way it works up there. Like with Villa as well. If they don't get in that Champions League, they haven't got that excess revenue coming in through ticket prices and everything, because up north, you just can't charge the same prices as in London. It's where the money is.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Just moving on, we had one question that I wanted to see what everyone's thoughts are, because it looked like he was definitely out the door. Fabrizio Romano's changed his tune on this now. Is Romero staying next season? Apparently, the fact we get Champions League now may change that. I know what my stance is on it, and I'll go first. I think that unless he signs a new contract, he needs to go, because otherwise he's then after this season because he got 2 years left, I think, in the summer. So that's my stance. So I like him, but I think because of availability issues, that's the sole reason why I would sell him if he doesn't sign a new contract. What would you do, Nige? Is Romero staying? Would you keep him? What would you do with him?
Well, in an ideal world, I'd keep him, but I think he's almost certainly going. I think he's been flirting with Atletico and Madrid for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. I think he probably leaves. But what a great way to leave. But hopefully we get some money for him. And this is the thing, isn't it? We were talking before. We spoke before about if we got Champions League football, or if we didn't, we could sell Romero. We didn't have Champions League football, one game a week, we wouldn't need another centre back. But if Romero goes now, I think we probably do need to go and buy another centre back.
Yeah, completely agree. So what would you do, Brian?
Well, again, this is me and Dad had this conversation today. Like Nige said about him flirting with Madrid, I don't even think it's just been Madrid. I think La Liga has always been the next port of call for him. It just fits for the South American heritage of going to La Liga, the life, the quality, the kind of cultural similarities. I think it's always been there. And the one thing we know about Atletico Madrid, yes, we have qualified for Champions League now. Atletico Madrid will do two things always: A, challenge for the league; B, be in Champions League football. It's got a big Argentinian contingency there. I said on Dan's show that on his day he's just awesome to watch, and he is just a brilliant defender. But like you said, Luke, the contract is now 2 years at the end of this season, and that has a major effect.
Yeah.
Financially, as much as we don't like to, and especially me talking about Levy and the money and whatever, it's football around the world now, isn't it? If you've got a player who's got 2 years left in his contract and they're not agreeing to sign it, doesn't matter if it's someone like a youth player that we've had to let go or one of your top stars, you need to try and cash in. I will say that I'm not putting him in the same bracket as this whatsoever. I love Kevin Danso. I fucking love him. Honestly, I'm not saying he's at that level. I'm not saying he's anywhere near Romero. I just think he's an absolute unit. He is an absolute. I honestly, when people were going on about him, we snagged him from Wolves. Look at that's how low we're scraping the barrel. Let's remind ourselves that Wolves find players like Neto, like Cunha, like Aiton. They find some incredible players, and obviously because of their restraints on their club and where they are, they cash in. And I think Dan. So not saying he is there, I love him. The main thing for me is this situation on a contract. I would agree with you. I think if he was to sign a new contract, I would keep him.
Yeah.
But I do think his heart, for his family reasons, cultural reasons. I mean, could there be
I think this sums it up. I think he is the
That's
most
exactly what I was about to say,
player.
Nicola. It's exactly the words that are about to come out of my mouth. Could there be? We're all saying when Atletico Madrid were linked with Højbjerg last season, going, is there a more Højbjerg? Is there a more Simeone midfielder than him? Well, without a doubt, what Nicola just said is exactly the same. Exactly the same.
I agree. Dan, would you keep Romero even with a contract situation?
No, I'd get rid of Romero even if he wanted to stay. Again, it's all opinionated stuff, yeah. But for me, I think Romero is one of the most overrated players that's ever been at Tottenham Hotspur, in my opinion. On his day, he is a world-class player. I won't deny that. But for me to be a world-class player, you need more to do than have a world-class game once every 15 games.
Availability.
If we want to be realistic, not just on availability. Start of the season when he played, he was absolute dog shit and cost us about 3 games, if I remember correctly. Yeah, world-class defender. I personally think if you had to give, I stated when I first started doing this, before Forest even got him, that I would quite happily go and get rid of Romero 2 years ago and go and get Milenkovic in there all day long. Now, for me, what I want as my defender, I suppose it depends how you want to play as well. If you want to play a ball-playing defender, yeah, Romero, on his day, he's world-class. But for me, no consistency, too many injuries. His attitude when it's not going right on the pitch, he gets just like Maddison, basically. He's a bitch. We've got a couple of them in our team that the minute it's not going their way, they get all bitchy on there like a bunch of little girls. And I just don't think he's as good as player as people make out. On his day, he is world class, but that's not good enough to be a world class player.
I really like him, but when people talk about like Toby and all the Toby and Jan,
this is what I mean. On his day, you would say Romero is a world class player, and on his day has been better than, say, Van der Ven or Toby were, yeah, at their peak, yeah. But if you was to pick either one of them next to each other, who would you have for a consistent season? I mean, I can see what Terry's saying here. He's saying it's ridiculous. He's won all 5 finals. No, he hasn't won all 5 finals. His team won all 5 finals. Get it right. If you're going to argue it, get it right. Yes, he's been in 5 finals and won them, but he didn't win them. The team won them. And if you want to be really seriously, Argentina won that World Cup because Messi carried them through the whole thing. But call that a different opinion as well. I want a player that I am going to get at least a 7 out of 10 of consistently out of at least 30 games of the season.
Yeah.
And he's going to be fit. Now,
at Spurs' level, I think that's right. At Spurs' level, like we were saying about Basuma. I think we've got too many players that go 5'9", 5'9".
Exactly. And like I said, on his day, he is a world-class player. There's no ifs or buts. And he can win you a game. But he's more than proof this season that he can also screw us a few games as well with his attitude, which he has gone and done. Now, what do you want? Do you want this world-class player that, okay, shows up in the final or shows up on a world-class game 1 out of every 10 and then doesn't even play 50% of the season because he's injured, but then all of a sudden, every time it comes to all of a sudden Argentina are playing, he's not injured anymore? Bit of a coincidence there, isn't it? But maybe that's just me picking at straws.
Yeah,
I would rather go for the solid player that he's going to give Romero 30 games in the season and give Danso 30 games in the season. I bet you Danso has an overall better season than Romero. It's just Romero will stand out in, say, 5 separate world-class games. Danso will be a consistent 7 out of 10 through your whole season. I want a consistency player that I can rely on game after game, not have to sit there and keep my fingers crossed that he's going to have his world-class game today or have a very good game for the next 3 and then not turn up or even concede us the bloody game for 3 or 4 games on the trot. It's his consistency for me. And yeah, personal opinion.
Dan, I'm just going to add to this very, very quickly. Like again that we were saying on your show earlier, the one thing with Romero, I mean, Kevin Danso, like me and Dan are very like. I honestly think he's. And you look at his header, his vital header yesterday when he came on against Frankfurt. He just looks. And do you know what? We haven't seen him and Van der Ven together. And the one thing Van der Ven misses is aerial dominance. And the one thing Danso definitely gives you is the aerial dominance. But what I loved about Romero, and like I said, we spoke about it, Dan's show. The last 3 Europa League games, the away games, he's been the skipper. We went to Frankfurt, and I was really concerned that the hostile atmosphere and everything, because Spurs have kind of crumbled and the mentality, I thought we were going to crumble. Yeah. Romero was magnificent and was captain, and was a captain in a different ilk to what you would imagine you get from Sonny on the pitch as a captain. He's the more, come on, like the Roy Keane kind of thing. Then we go away to Bodo, where everyone said, including me, they always score. Bodo, doesn't matter. Europe, they always score. Clean sheet. Romero captain. Job done. Which is his job to do. Then we get to the final. Yes, it's a poor Manchester United team. But again, it was right. Now you need to stand up and deliver. Now's the big game mentality. So I think I'm still like you, Luke. If he doesn't sign a contract, goodbye. It's got to be. I love Danso. I think Danso will prove to be more than a squad player. But I saw in those 3 away games, not just Ronaldo. Where the fuck? Don't inject things in your lungs. And Ronaldo doesn't play for Tottenham Hotspur. Okay, so then, mate,
you really are delirious with this Europa League winner, yeah.
All this positivity is making me say silly things. I've got positivity Tourette's, is what I've got. So I've seen leadership from him, we talk about his mentality, his temperament. I get from that his leadership. Has he captained the team to accept standards or put the standards up and been more vocal than Sonny may have been, because Sonny isn't a vocal leader, so to speak. So as much as you look at it, when the Romero gets paid very handsomely from this football club to stop the ball going in the back of the net. And in those 3 European away games that had a colossal impact on the overall achievement of winning the thing, you have to give Romero credit for that. I
think what Dan's saying, and I agree with him, is that far too often we've got players that they do step up in certain moments, but we need the moments to be more regular. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I completely agree. And I've always labelled this at Hazard, the day that he turned up at the Bridge. If you've got a player that can choose to turn up in 3 key moments at the end of a season, but not choose to turn up the other 28 games, 30 games, 35, whatever it is that the sort of character you need? And Spurs is not. We haven't got enough good players around to be able to say he's having a bit of one. We'll leave him out for a few weeks. We need players that are just going to be 7s and 8s at the moment, and then eventually, when you start getting better, you can bring in your 9s and your 10s. But we've got far too many players that are just hit miss. It's like,
I think people just like when you give a sentence and then you also give your example for it as well. A lot of people, they just seem to want to hear the word they want to hear and then either jump on you for it or agree with you for it. They don't listen to the whole thing. My whole point of Romero, welcome to the world, isn't it? And my whole point of it is, on his day, he is a world-class player. But to be called a world-class player, you can't just have a world-class game in a couple of games. You have to be consistent. Romero, since he has been at Spurs, has not been consistent.
First season he was, Dan. First season.
I'd say first season was his most consistent season, but he still weren't consistently good all the way through it. And the other thing is the problem is, as all I am saying is I would rather go with a more stable player that I know I am going to get consistent games out of for at least 30 to 31 games of the season, because he's not going to be broken every 5 minutes either, than the player that's going to give me a good game here or there, a world-class game here or there, and then some crap games here, there, and everywhere, and then be injured as well. So this is where I think consistency does better for your team than having that one who can do it for a moment. But then when you turn it on the other side, you also need that one who can turn up for a big game as well on a moment as well. I do get both sides of it. But if you want to work it out over 38 games, what do you go for? Do you go for the one that turns up in a good game here and there and is injured half of it and a world-class game here and there? Or do you go for the one that gives you a 7 out of 10 for 80% of the season? Whereas in a cup, and you know
it's a one-off game,
you've got the chance, it's a one-off game.
Yeah.
It's different. I look at things a bit bigger than just in these past 3 games. He's been brilliant. He's been brilliant. No two ways about it. But where has he been? What was he doing at the start of the season? Then do people seem to forget about that he cost us 3 games?
I think it's the availability part. I think if he was available for 60 games this year,
part as well.
Then I think people would be going, all right, he's inconsistent, but Spurs are a bit inconsistent. If we got more consistency, he would blah, 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 blah. But for me, it's like if he's missing, and what makes it even worse is that Van der Ven misses more games than he does. So you can't have 2 centre-backs who are constantly missing games. Like you can't have one. Having one is bad. Having 2, it just becomes negligible. You just can't.
He literally had 3 games on the trot where he cost us, if I remember right, at the start of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, when he came back in, he gave away a few goals, didn't he? The first game when he literally just kicked it straight to their forward a couple of times.
But there has been other games, and that's not what a world-class player does for 3 games on the trot.
Do you know what?
A player might do that on 1 game, but they don't do that for 3 games on the trot. Paolo Maldini did not do that 3 on the trot. Nesta did not do that 1 on the 3 on the trot. Even Toby Alderweireld did not do that 3 games on the trot. You get what I'm saying? A world-class player.
You know what I will say? I will say that I'll let Nige speak because I'm sure he's got something to say. I think we can go back and forth with this whole Romero, should he stay, should he go thing. But I think at the very, very start of this conversation, when Luke gave his opinion, if we weigh this up, whatever we think of him, whether we think he should stay or should go, his mentality, his lead, whatever you want to talk about, if he does not extend his contract, you've got to sell him. That's it. Be all and end all. Whether he stays because he is elite and you think he's elite, whether it's not, if he ain't going to sign a contract, just get him gone. Just get him gone because we can't be in this situation again and let players contract and get down to like what we had with Christian Eriksen, where we knew he wanted out and then we couldn't do anything to get him there. At the moment, his stock is as high as since he's been a Spurs player. If he don't sign that contract and he isn't prepared to commit, then we have to cut ties.
Big up, Phil. I don't underrate him at all, and I don't think he's not important. I think he's very, very important. So what I said was, I'm not sure if he was here, but what I said was, if he signs a new contract, I keep him. But if he doesn't, he needs to go. And it's exactly what Brian was just saying. So, and I think we kind of mainly agree on this, but also it depends on, and this is the one thing that I got wrong specifically last year about Højbjerg. I kept saying he needed to go. We needed to upgrade.
I wanted to keep him.
But my expectation was that we would upgrade him, not we would sell him and then not replace him. So if Romero, if the answer is, we'll keep Romero, we'd sell Romero but not upgrade him or not bring anyone in, then that's a different situation to, we'll keep him and then we'll invest it elsewhere or whatever it may be. So I think it always depends on where we're going to go. For me, I feel like every time we buy a player, he's worse than the player we've just sold, and therefore we get worse and worse and worse. Nige, what would you do with Romero?
Yeah, I'm very much the same. If he's not prepared to sign a new contract, get rid. If he does, fantastic. But again, as you said, if we are letting him go simply because we're in the Champions League, we cannot go with the defenders. We will have to sign a replacement because I don't think we've got enough quality there with the Champions League as well as the league.
I'm not sure about whether Dragusin would even be back, but I think Danzo, Van der Ven, you'd have obviously Dragusin coming in. There'd probably be a young player. I feel like we'd need one more at least if we're playing Champions League. And this again could be a situation where maybe the Champions League might be a step too far if we don't go and get these sorts of players. It might be better off being in Europa League this year again.
An experienced player, someone who's 32, 33, they don't have to be a 25-year-old or, someone who's been there and done it at the highest level.
he said that in his press conference. I don't know if anyone, again, I know some people probably wouldn't have been able to hear it or whatever, but that's what Ange actually said. He said, this is a young squad and we now need experience. I'm hoping that they've now realised that that is what we need, but we also need players that come in and improve this 11. So hopefully that is where we end up going with it. Everyone's saying exactly the same thing. A massive transfer window is needed.
I just say very quickly, not Ghosted, and I'll just be very, very quick. And a few of these should Romero go? What Ghosted has said and other people have said in this chat is spot on. Should we get XYZ amount? I'm not going to throw a figure there because everyone will start going, oh, is he this one? Whatever. Danso's there. But it's like, right, okay. The others are Dragusin Davies, Phillips Vuskovic, and Dorrington. Now, the Spurs go, right, we've got all these youngsters. They're all going to come through. Or do they say, right, Van der Ven and Danso are the first choice? Dragu, whether we like him or not, is going to be that you need 4 quality centre-backs ready for now. Not, 2 years down the line. And people, I'm a fan of Phillips. I think in a few years, Phillips is going to be sensational. But if we get X, Y, and Z, yes, Danso goes into his position as we speak now. Not saying that'll be my choice, but do we go and get a colossal centre back and keep Danso as a number 2 choice, or is it him? Then you go sign an absolutely fucking brilliant left centre back for Van der Ven, and then that brings your centre back levels or the quality there. So should one be out? There's so many different ways to look. Should he go? Do we invest that?
Yeah, 100%.
It comes back to how the Tottenham Hotspur say, right, we've done this.
Mm-hmm.
Now we want to start going like this again. And how do we get there? That's where it comes down to with me, with if you sell Romero as well.
Yeah, I can go with a league with me. And this is what has just proved this league for what it is. A league comes down to consistency at the end of the day. I mean, and that's what it is. You need your players to be consistent. Yeah, you need that star in there, but you can't just have that star turn up when he wants to. You need consistency in the team. I mean, one thing I think we do have an advantage in defence at the moment that a few people ain't looking at is if we do go for another centre, depending how we play, 3 at the back or 4 at the back. It depends on if it stays Ange, if it goes next manager. It's always buts and maybes. We can still quite easily put Van der Ven out on the left as a left wing back or a left back, because that's where he actually first started playing, and that's where he did play for his under 21s up until he got into the Dutch team, and then even then they put him out on the left. When they were playing 3 at the back, they put him as a left wing back a couple of times because he hasn't actually played that many times for Holland. It's another one we can move over if needs be, who can cover both positions quite nicely as well, depending on what sort of game you want, how you want your defender to be. If you know, say, for instance, that the balls are going to come flying in from crosses, who do you put in the middle? Van der Ven isn't my first pick for a defender there because he's absolutely crap in the air. Whereas Dragusin is solid in the air, and Danso is better in the air, and maybe I'd put Van der Ven onto the left to do his job there. This is what I call adapting to games. Mm-hmm. There is things we can mess about with here. I think we can get 50 mil for Romero, and I think that is because of the amount of injuries he's had. You can say he's won this and won that and whatever, but if he's been injured for more than like 45%, 50% of his time at Spurs, that brings the price tag down, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 50 to 60. I think that's the
I can go
kind of where you'd look at, to be honest. And the player that I think that we'd probably look at is Gay from Palace. He'd have a year left, I think.
There is a player I would love to get.
That is always, I've always thought if we sell Romero and bring in Gay, then I'm not unhappy with that. I'd take that. But
so would you say he's a better player on his day?
I don't think there's many. Obviously, Van Dijk is the best, but in terms of on their day, I don't think there's many better than Romero. But how many?
But who's going to give you a better season?
Who's
going to do better for your club as a whole?
I think Gay will be more consistent.
Yeah, I agree.
Personally. But I think that, again, it comes to that ceiling question, and you will have games where Romero will literally be like, they're never scoring Romero.
I agree.
So again,
agree.
it comes down to who you need. And I think if you've got consistency next year, if Van der Ven stays fit, I think it's a good partnership as well, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, I think Brian was right. It all depends on where we need to go and how many players we need to sign and this, that, and the other. So we're gonna kind of go on to it now. Obviously, gonna finish up soon. We've been going for quite a long time. I feel like everyone's thoughts on Brighton are probably going to be like meh. But what are the thoughts on Brighton? And kind of mainly what I wanted to gauge is, do you want to just have like young players playing, feel good factor? Should we go out and try and win it so that we're going out with a win at the last day? What are your kind of thoughts on if you was the manager, you are Ange, Brian, you are Ange. What is your starting 11? Are you, as I say, youth players? Are you trying to win it on the last day? What are you doing?
Well, before we get onto that part, one thing I am going to say about Sunday is, obviously, I've done a lot of protesting, whether it be to change for Spurs marches or opposite the club shop, whenever I was doing it when I was in London a few years ago. And one of the things that I really hated during the time of protesting, forget the numbers or the protest itself, is I remember, and I'm sure there's people in this chat and you guys that used to remember going back to Spurs at the old White Hart Lane, whether it be the Terry Venable days or the whatever days, and you'd walk down that high road, and as you're walking down that high road, you'd just hear a crescendo of noise. Whether you're a little kid or whatever, the atmosphere building to get into White Hart Lane was incredible. You walk down White Hart Lane High Road now on a match day, it's like you're leaving one class in school to go to the other, and there's teachers going single file, shh, hands on lips, hands on lips. You can't hear it. Yesterday, there weren't even a game being played physically. And all you hear about are the fans saying the high road outside before that game was bouncing, was rocking. There weren't even an actual game being played. It reminded me of all the videos we saw when Conte's asked Tottenham beat Arsenal 3-0 to get Champions League football. That's what I want to see again.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see.
A lot of people said that yesterday's atmosphere was probably the best that they've seen at the stadium.
And we weren't even playing a match there. That's the thing. And you go down there on match day, and honestly, it's like
it's dead.
I couldn't believe it. It's so sad to see.
And that's part of my question. What I'm saying is, obviously, everyone going there Sunday is going to be joyous. It's going to be like carnival atmosphere. If you go in and you start playing, like people have been saying, throw the league, everything else, you go in and play youth players and it comes up with a 2-1, 3-1 loss, you kind of dampen everything. So would you go strong? Would you kind of like...
do you know what? I don't think you can dampen it. I think that atmosphere should be like it was last night. It should be... Listen, we know, I think the highest, if I remember correctly last time at the league, realistically, if results go our way and we get a win, the highest we can finish is 14th. Yes, Dan's right when he mentioned before about the places when we're talking Newcastle. And us, there's massive amounts. 14th to 17th, I think Spurs can take the fucking hit. I think we could take the goddamn hit. I've also gone in on the fans as well and said, well, not all fans, but the fans that go, yeah, we've got to back the team. We've got to support the team. We've got to do this. None of this Levy noise or whatever. And then this ground is silent. It's like, well, you said you need to support the team.
Yeah.
But I've grated cheese and made more noise than I've seen in that stadium at points.
What cheese are you grating?
Mate, not very loud one, but that's how loud it sounds. So that stadium tomorrow, I remember after we beat Ajax 3-2 and Lucas Moura ran on the pitch and we were going to the place was bouncing for obvious reasons. Sunday was either going to be absolute boiling blood and toxicity, fouled and 17th in the league or 14th. Well, now you did, buddy, you did. And now we look at it. We end this season champions of Europe, 14th to 17th. Really, who gives a fuck? I'll tell you what will be interesting. Obviously, there's loads of talk is, did Sonny sign this contract so we can cash in? if Sonny goes off in the 85th minute and starts waving at the crowd, then you got to start thinking, and he should get the standing ovation he deserves. I would like to see people like Mikey Moore, Ajayi, these players get the minutes. I would like to see it. But the most important thing is it should be a carnival in there. It should be an absolute goddamn carnival in there. And for once, we went into this final saying, well, one of the sayings I use is play the match, not the occasion. Well, Sunday is play the occasion, not the match. Enjoy this moment that you created for yourself. The fans will give it. And let's just sign off a shittiest domestic season you could think of. And just pray that this summer is different. I mean, I will say this summer I was dreading. Like, no football. I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Oh my God, we're going to get banned all over the place. Oh, this summer's going to be glorious. 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 There's Arsenal fans I need to touch base with. West Ham fans I need to touch base. All of them. All of it. This summer's going to be...
single one of them.
Mate, this summer we go into it. No domestic campaign. No international campaign. We go back and go, what a shit show. Yeah, we got 3 months off of Spurs or 2 bit, whatever. But we've done it with a trophy in the bag. And let's just hope Sunday is a carnival outside the ground, inside the ground. And if Sonny is off, like I said, we don't know, but if it is true that obviously he signed the contract, then it may be because we cash in. If Richie's off, whoever's off, if they all go off or players go off and start doing that properly, you know what that normally means. Yeah. Give them the praise and respect they deserve.
We were saying about it at the start of the show about legends and
literally for once I'm going to change what I say. Don't play the match. Sorry, don't play the match. This time play the occasion because you deserve it.
Nigel, what would you do? Would you go young players, or would you just try and keep the momentum for the last game and keep the?
You know what? I totally agree with Brian. The fact that yes, it should be a carnival atmosphere. Let's enjoy it. Let's celebrate the fact that we've won our first trophy in 17 years. But I would love to win that last game. You know, it's been such a bad season in the league. I really want to win that last game and just get a bit of form because, you know, we are in another cup final in a couple of weeks. Is it a couple of weeks?
No, I think it's August, isn't it?
Cup final? Is it August? 14th. Yeah. Oh, that's disappointing. All right, then don't worry too much. But it would still be nice to go out and bang.
You're so negative, Nigel.
We've just won our first trophy in 17 years, and you're wondering about the next one that we're going to win. It's absolutely brilliant.
No,
what a trophy does it. So would you go like strong and then have the kids on the bench?
I'd probably start strong and see if we can get a couple of goals up and then bring a few kids on.
Couple of goals up, right? This trophy's changed him. We're normally 3 or 4 down, mate. Dan, what would you do?
Well, if I'm going to be honest, I couldn't care less. The thing that is going to make me laugh with it though is, I mean, I've said basically since we didn't get rid of Ange in Christmas that basically the rest of the season was irrelevant, i.e. the league, especially because he wasn't going to change his tactics in the league. He didn't. Yeah. Okay, we've kept hold of him and got a cup. I'm happy with that one. But I've been saying like the past 3-4 games have pretty much been irrelevant because one thing this club hasn't had this season is momentum either. Whether we would have won those last 2 games 10-0 or lost them 10-0 was irrelevant to this game that we just played. We played for that Europa League final, nothing else.
All in, yeah.
And with that, the games that have been like, oh, we're finished 17th or 15th, they've been pretty irrelevant to me. But then I've had a lot of people come down on me like a ton of bricks saying, that's a terrible attitude. That's disgusting. You should win every game. Every game matters. No matter what the atmosphere, no matter what the time, no matter what this, you go out there with your full team to win. Now, I bet you tomorrow, I bet you when we play our last game of the season, if he goes out there and brings the kids out there and gets beaten 5-0, there won't be one Spurs fan standing there or one Spurs fan sitting on a chat here saying, I'm disgusted. We should have given a full team out there because we should want to win every game.
Yeah.
To me, that's just how contradicting a lot of it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But and also it comes down to if we'd have lost then played the kids, then it would have been. Do you know, it's also everything circumstantial. Everything is like what happened. you've won the cup. Now you can do whatever the hell
cup
you like.
was the cup, but I was told before the cup that every game matters, even though that game, whether we finish 7th, 15th, or 16th, is irrelevant to me. It really makes no difference in the league, does it? But I was told that every game matters, no matter what.
Yeah,
you must put your full team out. What about the people who are paying to go and see this and whatever? Now we've won a cup. I guarantee you. I mean, like I said, I don't care. I'm quite happy with it, and everyone's going to be happy, even if he brings out the bloody 12-year-olds to bloody play. For God's sake, no one's going to complain, and it just totally contradicts what people were preaching a matter of 2 weeks, 3 weeks before, sort of thing.
I'd like a little mix. I'd like some of the.
I agree.
Third team, bring on some of the young players. I'd like
give Mikey Moore a game.
Yeah.
Get Archie Gray centre mid again.
I don't agree with the whole. Everyone brings up a J in the youth players that should be playing because of what he done. If you go and look at his Premier League 2 stats, they're not great. But because he got that goal, I think he should get a few minutes on the pitch as well. It'd be a great occasion, I'm sure. We are going to wrap up in the next couple of minutes. Last thing just to speak about. Obviously, we do have the parade. Now, I completely understand. We've got 2 guests on the panel that live hundreds of miles away, so they're probably not going to be at the parade. I will be going, so if you do see me around, please come in and say hello. It would be lovely to kind of meet the community. As I said, new channel, not been around that long, so haven't got the chance to be able to go out and meet people. So if you go into the parade and you do see me, please reach out, say hello. Dan, are you going? I know you've been to the stadium a few times this year.
50-50. It's possibly. It depends on what's going on the day. If there's more important things going on at home, then obviously it comes to priorities. Why they are doing it on the bloody? Why they are doing it on the Friday? I really don't know.
Yeah.
Why don't they just?
It had to be before Brighton, apparently.
Did it? I don't know.
I don't know why, but no one's ever said it has to be before Brighton for this reason, but apparently it has to be before Brighton. So therefore,
better to even then just do it on a Saturday on a weekend.
Yes,
sort of
but
thing.
they've changed it because it was supposed to be at 3 o'clock, and then now they've changed it to 5 because everyone went potty, basically saying we're all at work. So what's the point in that? But I would imagine that there would have been a request to move it to a Saturday, but maybe it's police. Because I don't know, it's got to be something like that, hasn't it?
The other London games on it and Premier League and stuff. Or they all
all kick off on a Sunday. All the Premier League games are on Sunday, but
it's the last games.
Saturday, Leyton Orient will be at Wembley, so maybe it's the only thing it can be, mustn't it? Because otherwise, you just do it on Saturday, surely.
It could be. I mean, you look at it as well. A lot of people, obviously, I was one of them, said, why not do it on the bank holiday Monday? But then you think, right, how many people would have booked holidays or to go away
apparently, a weekend? Be done before Brighton. I don't know. As I say, no one's told me the reason why, but it had to be done before Brighton. So,
what I mean, do you know what the annoying thing is obviously due to my surgery, I'm not clear to fly for a month.
Oh, right, okay.
So even if I wanted to go or could get there, and believe me, if we'd won, I would have been darling. Sorry, if I could have flown, not if we'd won. If I could have flown, I would have been like, hun, you know, I've already been to London. We've been to London twice since November. Any chance of when I said to Alana, when I said to her when we were over recently, can I stay an extra week for the Levy Out protest, for the one that didn't get a lot of attendance? She said to me, yeah, sure, you can stay an extra week. Just don't come back to Canada if you do.
I was going to say, I reckon if you'd have asked that question, you'd have been back in surgery in no time.
You got to pick your battles, and believe me, if I could get there, I would have been there. But yeah, I just can't. But I will be watching it because I believe for anyone that is international, it's going to be streamed live across YouTube and everything. Perfect. So you may not be able to be there. But you can personally, even if people are at work, they can't get out. It will be being streamed, from what I'm being told, live via Spurs' social media platforms. So the people will have a chance to see it.
Mm-hmm. Right, guys, we are going to finish up now. It's been a great stream. Thank you all for coming on. The chat has been absolutely crazy. Chinwag Spurs, cheers. Thank you very much. European champions. I mean, what's an I still can't believe it. Brian, you mentioned it a few times and it just goes, oh, hang on a minute. European champions. So, yeah, last thing from me is European champions. Come on, you Spurs. See you later, guys. Thanks for coming.
See you later.